You say, okay, I have a lot of money, but you have no money unless you take profits.
When the first ever spot ETF was created for gold 10x.
And the only thing I really knew was Bitcoin at the time, so I just invested very heavily into that. Rode it all the way up.
What's up?
My name is Jeff. Even the creators have said it's going to be the predecessor of CBDC.
What that taught me was that I need to be self-sufficient.
A solid DCA investment strategy, and pretend the red sell button doesn't even exist.
We about to go up like.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
What up, DJs? Welcome to the first episode in 2024 of Whiskey Wednesday. We have Nate McGinnis, we got Will Stevenson, we got Zenith in the house, and as always, I am your host, Josh, Mr. Chocolate Taints. We got some good content that we're going to be talking about tonight with you guys. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys leave a solid comment. Make sure you hit that notification bell. But the biggest thing, as always, that you can do is take that URL and share it all across your social medias. Check down in the link description. You guys will find our Telegram. Make sure you guys join up the Telegram. It's free to join right now. It's not always going to be free. All right. So make sure you guys are joining up that Telegram. You guys will also find all the panelists' social medias as well as the DJ and Roundtable social medias. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time tonight. We had a pretty solid ending to 2023. We had a great beginning to 2024. January 1st, we saw Bitcoin shoot up to 45,000, hit a 2024 yearly high, as Jay liked to say in our Telegram channel. But today we had a little bit of a sell-off. It looks like the latest rumor through the rumor mill going around is that the Bitcoin spot ETFs are going to be rejected in January. That story broke earlier today, and it caused a cascading downfall in the crypto space. We saw drops across all coins in all sectors. There may have been a couple of them that counter-trended that action, but for the most part, we saw a pretty solid sell-off going off throughout the whole crypto market. So that's what we're going to be talking about to lead things off. And then, of course, it's Whiskey Wednesday, so we're going to open up the floor to whatever we want to talk about. Doesn't really have to be crypto-related. We might even throw the link out into the community chat. So if you're watching right now, you're not a part of our community, join our Telegram right now. You might see the chat invitation to jump online with us. So Zenith, want to bring it over to you, buddy. You just got back from the left coast, Washington State. How was that? And how was your New Year's, man?
I did just get back from the left coast. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I was out in Washington for a bit. I had a good time, saw some old friends, saw some family out there, and I even caught a minor league hockey game. It was a crazy one. It was Everett Silvertips. I think final score was 6-5. And that it unfortunately went the wrong way, but the final goal was scored with literally 6 seconds left with the whole crowd on their feet for the wrong team. And it was just like, this is the absolute worst. But other than that, yeah, we're having a good time. I'm glad to be back in the mothership, so to speak, and back with the pro studio. But yeah, I'm having a great start. How about you guys?
Yeah, Nate, how are you back to work yet? Are you still on vacation? What's life looking like right now in 2024?
Yeah, right back to work, right back to everything. It's kind of funny because I'm one of the top salesmen when it comes to like upgrading people and their specifically what we do with pest control, right? And so me being gone for a full week, they're like, "Oh my God, our sales are way down," and then I come back one day in, and they're like, "Oh, thank God you're back." Like, why? Whatever. But yeah, no, New Year's was great. That whole vacation, I'm not going to lie, was absolutely wonderful. I have not taken a week off in 2.5 years. So it was absolutely wonderful. I spent the first like half of that week pretending like I was retired, right? And I didn't have to worry about work at all. And I'm not going to lie, with me getting myself in that mindset and with the lovely Mrs. McGinnis being very, very nice and cooking me food and stuff. It was a wonderful experience because I felt at peace for once in my life. Just nice and calm. So it was wonderful. Absolutely enjoyed it. And then she made me a prime strip loin steak, and then we did wine tasting and stuff. Lots of wine tasting for New Year's, and it was absolutely fantastic. How about you, Will?
Bro, I'm over here in New Jersey right now. I'm visiting a good friend of mine that we've known each other for a while from the tower industry and stuff. But we spent New Year's over here chilling out, and then yesterday I took a tour all around New York. I'd never ridden on the subways before. I'd never like walked around the streets. Bro, New York is pretty like I don't know what it used to be, but it's pretty crazy, man. This like I was both impressed and awestruck at all the cool places, and just like walking next to the the bull that's over there on Wall Street, chilling out over there, walking around like the Empire State Building, going and seeing like the Port Authority, looking at like all the transit stuff. We stopped at oh shoot, the place where all the trains all meet together. I can't remember the name of it, but it was super cool, man. Hanging around New York. Yeah, Grand Central Station. Bro, if you guys never go there in your life, you are missing out. That place is crazy cool. Like the movies don't do it justice. Yeah, bro, it's been a crazy it's been a crazy New Year over here by New York, and shit's awesome. But I'm heading back to Texas tomorrow. I'll be catching a flight, and then I'll be back down in the shipping container after that. And then I got me and Rod, one of the members from the community, we actually have a meetup planned. I'm gonna swing down and hang out with him down there in the great state of Tejas on, I think, the 14th, if I remember correctly. So Rod, if you're listening, I haven't forgot, bro, even though we were just talking about it today. So got some great meetups planned up with some great Hexkins. And on that note, like we're also going to be featured in the Hex conference streaming here in the very, very near future. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, man, it's just been a great New Year's. Lots of cool stuff. Glad to be back streaming again. Not that I think we ever took really a break. It's awesome.
Kind of, I guess. I need to ask though, Will, when you went walking by Wall Street and all that, did you give like a big middle finger or just laugh your ass off at them, or like what did you do?
No, so like I didn't actually notice. So we were walking on Wall Street, and I didn't actually like see any traders or anything. It was just a bunch of tourists on the ground, because I mean it's New Year's Day, so I don't think that they're out there doing business or anything. But no, I didn't flip anyone off. I was tempted to go and hang out and get like a picture next to the bull, but like there's so many people around the fucking bull, dude. It was like this is the juice ain't worth the squeeze here. So I just kept.
Are you saying there's too many bulls?
No, there's too many like tourists around the bull. It was like the bull is, I guess everyone's feeling bullish. So that's pretty cool.
That's kind of reminiscent of what the bull market is like, isn't it? As soon as there's a bull around, they all come.
Yeah, exactly.
Start packing in.
I'm not gonna lie though, I had no idea that Bitcoin went up to 45,000 the other day. So that's pretty cool news. What were you gonna say there, Josh?
Did you get a chance to check out Ground Zero at all?
I did not. No, I didn't go to Ground Zero, the Memorial place. But like, I will say that the new trade center is very impressive. That like, it was my first time actually being up close and personal to the building. It is crazy. Like, so the thing that like interests me is because I do the towers and the TV antennas and all that crap. Is I was just looking up at the very top of it, looking at that new antenna system that they got, and I was just eyeballing that and looking how they have it set up, and it's pretty nifty looking. So I got some cool pictures from long ago with the original World Trade Towers, where they had dudes a lot like me, like the iron worker guys that put up TV tower antennas and shit. And they're like up there, and they're like literally all they're wearing is like a helmet and jeans. Like they don't have harnesses. They don't they got like maybe like a rope or something tied around their waist or whatever.
Hell no,
dude.
No. Those are some mentally unstable people.
Yeah, bro. Like back in the day, they were fucking nuts, dude.
Necessity is a hell of a force there. It's like, well, gotta eat. This building's got to get climbed somehow, so get after it.
That's nuts.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the first topic, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and discuss the events that happened today. So we woke up this morning. It looked like crypto started to take a little bit of a dive. We did a little bit of research, and we found out that it was announced by Matrixport that it was likely that the Bitcoin spot ETFs were going to be rejected by the SEC in January, coming up here in January 10th. That took the world by storm. especially given all the bullish sentiment that has been seen in the market from November and into December. We had a solid run up, and we had a lot of building momentum leading up to that January 10th deadline. There's been a lot of speculation that the EFTs would be approved at that time. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of money has come into the market within the last 60 to 90 days because of that hype. And then this information breaks. Not sure how credible it is. The information broke from somebody who seems to be credible, who appears to have that sort of information. But right now, as it sits, it's still just news. That's all it is. But either way, it was enough to shake out some weak hands within the crypto space. We saw Bitcoin, like I said in the intro, go from $45,000 down to around $41,000 earlier today. I know Illuvium right now. That Illuvium is what I've been eyeing ever since I saw the strong bearish divergence a couple weeks ago. I know I was able to punch out because I wanted to do a little bit of a swing trade, try to accumulate a little bit more of Illuvium. Illuvium had gone up to 120. I sold out at 119.54. And I had buy orders set in place for $80 to start buying back into my position, and hadn't seen it. Illuvium had come down, but it hadn't reached that $80 mark yet and started to creep back up. And then all of a sudden earlier today, it punched down below that $80 mark. So that went ahead and triggered. So we are seeing liquidations, and we're seeing sell-offs across the market today. It doesn't seem like it's going to be anything permanent, though. Zenith, I want to come to you first. Are you seeing anything in the market that says that this is going to be sustained, a sustained sell-off, or does it just appear, given your background, given all the experience that you have in traditional finance, that it's just, sort of a fear-based thing, and that it's going to rally back here and it's really nothing to worry about?
So I tried to look at this one through a few different lenses. The first one is just looking at the crypto market as a whole. In essence, when we went from that top of about 45,000, almost 46,000, down to that local low of about 41,500, that's only like a 9% drop, which in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty decent chunk to drop. However, at the same time, for pretty much since the beginning of December, we've been floating around this band that's between like 41,500 and that new high of 46,000. So all things considered, is this what we were expecting? Not necessarily. However, this is honestly pretty more normal movement. One of the indicators I was looking at is RSI. For something like this, you might expect the RSI to drop really low and show that this is actually oversold and that this drop is so far down that it's a good time to buy back up. But that's not what we're seeing. Right now, the RSI is only at about like 51, which is just above average. And keep in mind that back in August, we were talking about how the RSI was the most oversold it had been in years. We have not even come remotely close to that RSI again. So considering that we're still above the halfway point, this seems like decent, normal market fluctuation. However, we do see the normal stuff that we always see with Bitcoin leading the market, which is that Bitcoin moves first, and then it kind of moves less because all the other stuff is more volatile. So like you saw with what we were talking about with Illuvium, yeah, we did get that drop down to about, we had a wick down to $76. That was kind of cool to see for everybody that's looking to just acquire more. And then along with other stuff, like Ethereum had the low at about 2,100. Hex had a little bit of a low, had a weird wick down all the way to 0.003. This is eHex, by the way, and it's sitting at about 0.0045 right now, which is down from sitting at 0.0055. So it's like, these are fluctuations. It's nothing massive, but honestly, in my opinion, this is a needed cooling off period based on everything that's been going on previously. Because remember, we've been on a bit of a like a 3-month bull run effectively, because we shot all the way from 25,000 to $46,000 Bitcoin in like 90 days. Considering that, like, for the since like March of 2023 all the way to September of 2023, we effectively had like net zero movement. Yeah, we went up to like 30,000 for a little bit, but then came right back down to like 28,000 and then down to 26,000. So in my opinion, we were oversold for a bit there, and this move is pretty normal. But when we actually look at what some of the experts are saying online, is like, yeah, that one report did get leaked talking about how the ETFs are probably going to get denied. ETFs were a lot of the buzz behind the last movement that we saw in the last 90 days. However, just to provide a contrary point, you can also find news articles out there talking about how, like, hey, is the ETF report like something of note? Absolutely. Did it cause the market crash? Definitely not. Some people are calling this a bull trap. If you go look at the Bitcoin liquidation, there is a large candle saying that a lot of people got wrecked in the last 24 hours. And I mean, this is crypto. This is what we do. This is pretty normal stuff, honestly.
You brought up a good point, and you had mentioned the RSI and how it was screaming that it was oversold for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And that's a good point. I just took a look at the weekly, and it's still at 73 right now for an RSI, which is still very strong, getting into that oversold territory. So even with an event like this, it's still very strong on the weekly RSI. And if you take a look at the daily, give me one quick second here. I'm not going to share the screen. I'm just going to take a look to reference it.
Just for reference, I was talking about daily RSI, but you do bring up a very good point about the weekly RSI, still sitting at 70. So,
yeah, for sure. And the daily is still showing some bearish divergence from the RSI high back at the end of October. Now, that's not the price high, of course. The price high, when that RSI peaked out on the daily back in October, Bitcoin was at $35,000. And we just hit 45 2 days ago. So, Bitcoin ran $10,000 with the daily RSI steadily decreasing. It popped back up, but it still had a lower low in December, at the beginning of December. And then it peaked back up there January 1st, January 2nd, when it spiked up to $45,000. But it's still a steady decline, lower lows, and we're still seeing that strong bearish divergence on the daily chart. And that translates into a little bit of a cool off on the weekly, which is good. I think it's good. Tracker brought up a really good conversation a couple days ago in the chat, and he had mentioned the difference between Bitcoin spiking in price versus gradually going up. And with the just straight acceleration and the hype over the last 60 to 90 days based on this EFT news and whatever money was coming into the market, it seemed like a little bit of that was able to get flushed out, which, Nate, I want to bring you in here. I know that you had worked a full day. You really hadn't had a chance to evaluate the news, evaluate the targets. So I don't want to ask you a question specifically on that. What I want to do is I want to get your fundamental sentiment and your opinion on, we saw over the last 60, 90 days, we saw steady growth in the price, and we saw a lot of bullish news. And then for this information to come out to drop Bitcoin 10% in one day, what does that say about the people that are starting to come into the market and buy Bitcoin, and how easy it is to start shaking people out already?
Well, I mean, think about it this way, right? Like, people are already way too excited over these ETFs. We've already had this happen once before. I would almost call this a scam week, because I'm trying to remember the name of the newsletter that released this news of, like, oh, it's not going to happen, it's going to be rejected. But Dace and I were talking about this on the little call that we had in the Telegram, and apparently Battle Hardened Sniper, shout out to you, man, he did a little bit of research, and I guess they're an exchange, but they're an exchange specifically for something related to they will be gaining a lot of money if people dump Bitcoin. And so why do you think they came out with that FUD? And the thing that shocks me, or maybe not shocks me, but because this is traditional finance, right? There's a lot of paper hands in traditional finance. That's kind of how you got to work as traders, right? But the second somebody comes out and says, oh, nope, it's going to be rejected, everybody dumps. And then it wasn't even like they came out with the news, the dumping started happening, and it was like a couple of hours later that a bunch of other news sources started coming out with, like, more than likely they're going to not reject it and they're actually going to accept it. Like, Jesus. This reminds me a lot of when so who was it, if you could remind me, they said that the BlackRock ETF was going to be accepted, and this was like back in November, or was it October? But and then we had that scam wick immediately going up, big green wick, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, no, they're not, they're actually rejecting it this time, and then another almost the exact same size of the green wick, red wick went down.
Yeah, was that Cointelegraph that did that, or CoinDesk?
Yeah, it
or
was one.
Coin
It was one of their news people just kind of like jumped the gun and just went ham with it, with the news. And of course, people went absolutely mental. And originally, when that happened, I had stated that this right here is evidence in just how ready Bitcoin is ready to pop. And now, I mean, as you were talking about, right? Just how much higher we've been getting just in Bitcoin alone. It's just been consistently green candles. All I'm seeing right now is that people, and the news has been really, bullish on the ETFs, but all I'm seeing is that the second we get confirmation that this is going to happen, there's a lot of people on the sidelines right now who are really, really, really want to get in,
That's kind of what I'm saying. The great irony, though, is those people that are waiting to get in are doing the wrong thing, and you should have already been in, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you have a great point. I will just say this is a bit of a reference. Effectively, in the last year, Bitcoin itself did do a 3x. Think about that. We started off at about like 15.5. Around New Year's, I want to say we were about 16,000. And we basically just started off the year at 46,000. Yeah, that's pretty much a 3x. So,
and that's the bull run, boys. Get ready for another 3 years of bear. I hope you enjoyed it.
Correct. There it is. That's the whole thing. We're done. Bull run canceled. No, just remember this last year. The whole time we've been talking about, like, everyone's been saying, like, oh, this bear market feels like crap. This hurts so much. We're giving up. We're losing hope. We're throwing chairs. But it just doesn't feel like it because we're in that accumulation phase. And that technically was the start of the bull market. So now we got to basically like a full another year and a half until we hit that top. And that's where we're going. I shot Josh a message, and I did have one more data point I want to bring into this conversation.
Yeah, hang tight real quick. I'll get to that here in a second. I'll bring that. I wanted to give Will a chance real quick. Will, I want to bring you in here. Did you have any comments on anything? I know that, you've been traveling, you've been doing your thing for New Year's and all that stuff. Did you have a chance to sort of formulate any opinions or, gather any thoughts, so to speak, around the influx? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing that I want to point out is I had seen this on, I think, somewhere on Twitter earlier today, and I'm kind of pulling this number out of my ass because I only vaguely remember what it was, but I think it was Watcher Guru was talking about like several millions or several hundreds of millions of dollars were liquidated today because people were on leverage using either Aave or things like fiat or what are some of the other leveraging things out there? But like when Bitcoin does this like 10% drop that people don't expect because they're like, oh shit, it's going up forever. Yeah, sure, I'll do a 10x leverage. I'll do a 10x leverage loan on Bitcoin, and then this 10% wick down candle happens, and then boom, ton of people get leveraged. Get liquidated out of their leverage position, and they lose their collateral, they lose their place. So something that I want to warn people against is just using leverage. So I don't remember if it was just like a crazy number of dollars and cents that people got liquidated out of today during this massive dip, but that's something that is definitely worth paying attention to. If you guys are out there and you're doing leverage, remember the three things that get you wrecked as a man is ladies, liquor, and leverage, right? Don't do them. And if you're going to do them, understand the risks. And when things like today happens, when Bitcoin drops 10% in price, if you had a 10x long, then, you just got liquidated. Congratulations. If I understand that all correctly. So is that something similar to what happened? Am I just talking out of my ass here? So I'm pretty sure that's what happened today.
Nah, you're right on the money, brother.
Yeah, you're right on the money.
The number was 5.4 billion.
Oh, it's 5.4. Oh, fuck. I thought it was 500 million. 5.4 billion. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of money. That is a lot
Yeah,
of
no,
money. If
That's
the
absolutely
the crypt-
insane. When I saw that number, I was like, what? That's
yeah,
not
the
right.
market cap of crypto is 1.5 trillion. So like that's like 2 or 3% of the market cap just got liquidated, or something like that. That is nuts.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point, man. Not a lot of people think about it, but when you get into liquidating, when you get into the leverage game and stuff like that's an intermediate to advanced level play right there. That's not for anybody that's on the beginner level. And there are a lot of people who want to sort of pat themselves on the back and think they're farther along than they should be when they really shouldn't. And you really have to take into account exactly what could happen when you get into this sort of leverage situation, because exactly what we're seeing today, it happens all the time. We've had this podcast going since June of 2023, right? So we're going on 7 months, right? And how many times have we come on this show and we've talked about a drop and it was basically based on liquidations? How many times does that happen? It happens time and time again. So you really have to be patient. You really have to be careful, and you really have to learn the ins and outs of that sort of thing. Otherwise, if you lose your money, you're really not in a position to complain if you decided to get into it before you had the opportunity to learn it. But Will, you brought up some great points there. Zenith, I want to bring you back in here. There's a lot of correlation between Bitcoin and traditional markets, right? It's always been that way. There might be periods where it decouples from the traditional space and stuff like that, but for the most part, there is a pretty solid correlation between the Bitcoin market and stocks and other sectors. So how is the S&P? What is the stock market looking like? Can you talk a little bit about that in this space as well? Are you seeing something similar in the S&P, or was this just something that happened in crypto, or what are you seeing in that aspect?
As far as the shape of the graphs look, it's actually pretty similar. Just real quick, I don't know, Nate, you'll have to send me your 5 billion number for the liquidations, but
No, I went and looked it up. My mistake. It was 500 million.
Oh, you're good.
But
Yeah,
it was 5 billion that was up 4 grams basically in overall puts. So.
Yep, exactly. I'm on CoinGlass right now. The 24-hour wrecked liquidation stat has it at $689 million.
Okay,
right,
that makes a lot more sense. I was about to say if 2% of the whole market cap just got liquidated, that'd be absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that would.
It won't be long before that is the deal. This is not going to be too long.
All right, back to TradFi. So, looking at the S&P 500, we did have a high for the year on the 28th of December. Since then, we've actually dropped about 2% from 477 to 468. Is this a massive dip? No, not really, but it is starting to show some weakness in the market, and the RSI on the S&P 500 is actually absolutely taking a dive. It's going from oversold and is quickly approaching the average again. But if you want to look specifically at other things going on in the S&P 500, there is an ETF for Bitcoin miners. The ticker is WGMI for We're All Gonna Make It, allegedly. That's the Valkyrie Bitcoin ETF miner. Those guys are actually down about 25%. They had a little bit of a recovery today, and before the recovery, they were actually down about 30% over like 4 days. So when it comes to crypto relation with the actual traditional finance market, right now on a very small time scale of like a week or two, we're looking pretty correlated. And even if you want to extend it back to when we had that September 11th low, the S&P has honestly been tracking pretty closely. It had a little bit of a dip where we didn't have one. They dipped while we were chopping sideways, but once crypto started pumping for Bitcoin specifically, the S&P 500 was also starting to run up to that yearly high, or honestly that high that we haven't seen for 2 years. Like, keep in mind, we topped the S&P out back in January of 2022 at 479. We just hit 477 and we're starting to head back down again. For reference, at the beginning of last year, we were actually somewhere around like 378. So the S&P 500 has had a bit of a recovery, honestly pretty close to the crypto markets when it comes to all-time lows, and now we're getting back to like cycle highs so far.
Good stuff. Panel, you guys got any comments on that?
I've got something else actually, just kind of a question, or maybe more like your guys' thoughts, right? Have you guys been noticing all the commercials coming out lately for Bitcoin?
I do
Oh,
not
fuck yeah.
watch traditional stuff, but I would not be surprised if it's starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't personally seen it, but I've seen postings on Twitter for ETF commercials and stuff like that. But I am starting to notice a lot more crypto related space, I guess, in regular culture on TV shows and stuff. I'm starting to see a little bit more of that. But what's your thought process there?
Well, the thing that I'm looking at is where are you at in the market right now? Do you remember this time last year? Nobody was touching crypto. Nobody was talking about crypto. And now, fast forward a year later, here we are. Okay. And all of a sudden we're getting commercials, as you say, you know, traditional spaces are starting to kind of like talk about crypto now. I feel like sometimes when you're so involved with looking at very specific things, like what's happening right now, sometimes I believe you need to just kind of like take a step back, look down with like 3,000 viewpoint, right? Foot viewpoint, and see what is going on. And right now, what I'm seeing is that people who straight up were just saying, no, it's a scam, and just you're not going, just don't touch it, is now like, hey, we need to get like commercials in here, we need to get spot ETFs in here, blah blah blah. And it's like, it's a good feeler for kind of the warmth, right? Because if you want to think about it, how a bear is cold, a bull is going to be hot. So how hot are you running? And you can definitely tell right now that things are warming up and maybe even getting hot right now.
I think you're entirely correct. This is a good question for everybody on the panel because it's something that I experienced when I was traveling for all throughout December. The soft science of the Uber driver / stripper meter for the top signal was not saying that all of them are talking about it, but I will say this much. I had more people ask me about crypto and Bitcoin specifically in this last month when I was traveling, maybe because, I don't know, maybe we hit the mainstream. The DGen Roundtable is massive now. But more likely, I think people have like little like inklings and indications of like some stuff happening, but not a ton. I will say this though. One of a friend of a friend who actually works in traditional finance for like some large players on the East Coast, she mentioned to me, and she was the one that brought up the topic of like, do you think that Ethereum or Bitcoin is going to do better? And she, without me saying anything, was like, I think Ethereum's probably the way to go. So like, then the normies out there are starting to get some of this knowledge like trickled to them little by little. What'd you guys think? Anybody that traveled or had family and friends come visit, did you guys get asked about it?
I actually have a little bit of that myself. So whenever I meet anybody or like coworkers, or, you know, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. One of the things that I'll do is, you know, they ask about hobbies. What I'll say is I do crypto. And I just kind of like throw that out there as like that's one of my main things that I love to do. So I've been doing this for like a full year. And before people were like, oh, didn't that just like go to zero or whatever? That's what I remember getting that quite a bit. That was back in, this time last year, quite frankly. And now I'm starting to get those same people coming back around and being like, so how's that crypto thing going along? I'm like, it's going okay. You know, we're still going to zero though.
I will say this. The sentiment that I've gotten from everybody is that in the past, when people talked about like Bitcoin not at all-time highs, it was usually a lot of people like laughing at it or joking about it and be like, haha, do you see that dump? But this time, anybody that's been talking about it with me, they're very, very neutral on it. They're not like saying, oh, buy it, or I have a ton of it myself. They're all like, oh yeah, this is a thing, isn't it? Like, it's probably doing something. Like, they're not laughing at it anymore. Like, they know, like, this is something that's going to happen in the future. They just don't know anything about it.
Sam, Sam, Will, I want to give you the I was looking at one of Sam's comments in the channel or on the chat, but Will, do you have any thoughts on that?
I was just gonna say on the note of the advertisements, I've seen a couple of those floating around on Twitter, floating around on YouTube. I haven't seen anything on TV. I don't watch a whole lot of like TV stuff, but I've definitely seen ETF ads for, I don't remember if it was Grayscale. I think it might have been Grayscale. I don't know entirely, but I remember seeing ads for ETFs and things of that nature. And then as far as like normies talking about cryptocurrency or like the strippers or the Uber drivers or whatever, I haven't seen or heard a whole lot, but I don't really interact with the world a ton outside of like close family and friends, especially during like this time of year. But I would probably say that like my family, at least peripherally, is much more aware of cryptocurrency and much more interested in the things that I have to say now than they were, 2 years ago. So that is still true.
Will, when you bring that up, now that I think about it, I say that, like, obviously when I'm working with customers, I'm just doing small talk, right? Well, of course,
Yeah.
I bring up just the whole like, oh, I do crypto type of thing with customers as well. And I average right around anywhere from 14 to 16 customers per day. And that's
Yeah.
5 days, if not 6 days a week. So that's a lot of different people. And not only that, but their families too. So there's a lot of people within those customers, just one customer at a time, right? So now that I think, now that you said that, you've got me thinking, I actually do interact with a lot of different people, not just like close family or anything. And yeah, the sentiment has been the exact same, where people are like going from like, hey, didn't that thing die, to being like, oh yeah, I heard something about that. It was on the TV or it was on the news.
Yeah.
I want to take the opportunity to talk a little bit on Nate's point. If you take a look at if you take a look at culture and you take a look at the space in 2021, when we started really getting into the euphoric stage of the last bull market, we saw everything from crypto.com buying out stadiums, FTX getting involved. You saw Larry David. You saw Matt Damon on commercials. You saw Tom Brady getting involved. You saw celebrities. Money was thrown at celebrities, all right, in 2021. And then going into, take a look at 2022. You take a look at the Super Bowl and you had the Matt Damon crypto.com. I think it was crypto.com, but it was the Fortune Favors the Bold ad. And it's all over the space, right? And then, so that's at the height of the euphoria phase. And then you take a look a year later, you have the FTX collapse, you have Bitcoin down at $15,000. And I think it's really important what Nate said there when he said you need to take a step back and look at that 30,000 foot view and just take a look at where we were, where we are now, and what's possible ahead of time. Because if you take a look now, we are just now starting this next coming bull cycle right now. We are starting that run up. As Zenith said, Bitcoin has already done a 3x from the bottom. So, we are on a slow grind upwards, and we haven't even gotten to that parabolic phase yet. That's still maybe a year away. It could be 4 months away. We don't know. It could be right at halvening. It could be a couple months after the halvening. It could take a year. Traditionally, we know we're about 6 months away from it starting to go parabolic, if you look at the charts and everything like that. So when you look at how Bitcoin and crypto.com, FTX, all these centralized exchanges, they were all over the place in 2021, 2022. And then you couldn't even whisper FTX around this time a year ago, given everything that had happened with SBF. And, we even covered stories here on the show back in June of 2023, talking about his trial. We were talking about it up until Q4. We just now sort of got into Q1. But I remember in October and November still talking a little bit about Sam Bankman-Fried. But now you're starting to see a little bit more of those Bitcoin spot ETF commercials. We're starting to see stuff like that. We're starting to see more, I guess, acceptance of these centralized exchanges. And we're starting to see a little bit more buildup where that wasn't even there. If you take a look at 2019 or 2020, we really didn't see that until 2021. So it's super important. If you just can visually make a graph in your head of sort of what's going on in culture, you can make a visual graph in your head about culture. You could say, okay, in 2021, the crypto market was up here at the top. In 2022, it's down here at the bottom. Now it's starting to creep back up a little bit. All right. So when you take a look at that, we're still in a better space now than we were in 2019 or 2018 by leaps and bounds. And
Absolutely.
that's just what happens in markets. You take 5 steps forward, you might take 3 steps back, but you take another step or two, you're still higher than where you were when you first started. So that's my thoughts. I want to give you guys a couple more minutes to make any final comments. Then let's go ahead and do some community shout outs, and then we can sort of transition the topic to whatever we want to chat about.
For sure. I got 2 points. First off, real quick, this is something that probably went under the radar for a lot of people, but there was some FBF news that happened recently. The courts actually threw out a lot of the campaign finance and political donation violations after the government has investigated itself and found that they had no wrongdoing. So
How convenient.
very convenient indeed. Second point is,
I wish I could do that.
we all wish we could do that. In regards to macroeconomic stuff, we are starting to move into the part of the year where the Bitcoin halving is going to start mattering more and more. We're now only 4 months away. I remember back when we had the pleasure of announcing that we were 6 months away, and that's when the official run-up starts. Guess what? We had a good bit of a run-up. Good chance is that there's more to come. Even if there's a little bit of a dip, odds are we're probably going to end up in April higher than we are right now. That's just a pretty decent betting favorite. Outside of that, we have additional macroeconomic events going on this year that we got to keep in mind. First off, January is actually pretty packed for macroeconomic events. We have CPI report coming out on the 11th. We also have the shit, I just had this up. There it is. We have the ARC 21 shares Bitcoin ETF filing final deadline on January 10th. Then we also have the iShares Bitcoin Trust. That's the BlackRock one. Their third deadline is January 15th, right after another one. There's actually, there's 6 other ones happening on the 15th, one on the 17th. And then after that, if those get pushed back again, then those go to final deadline in March. So we also have a FOMC meeting at the end of January. So we got a lot coming up, not just in January, but in March. And then we have our big event of the year in April with the halving. So a lot of forces going on. Keep it in mind.
Nate, any final thoughts on the topic before we transition?
Yeah, it's a little bit. I would say let's go ahead and save this for a topic a little bit later on. But this had to do with Dace J and Tracker earlier in our Telegram group, which you should be getting in, so that way you can hear this stuff. But it's the idea of Bitcoin skyrocketing going to the moon and then rapidly dropping versus slowly going up and then kind of like curving out at the top, being best for our altcoins, ultimately where the most amount of X's and money is going to be made.
And what about you, Will?
I just wanted to double tap on the fact that a crap ton of SBS Sam Bankman-Fried's charges were dropped when it comes to the campaign donations that he had made to both the Republicans and the Democrats. Like, he didn't just donate to the Democrats, he donated to a lot of Republicans as well, shortly before his company went under. And call it a tinfoil conspiracy theory, call it just a bad feeling, but it's like when a dude that goes to jail for basically mishandling a whole bunch of people's money and then donating it to a whole bunch of political members of Congress and people who make laws and rules and things of that nature, it does not bode well with me. So it was awfully convenient that all of those other charges that would have put a whole bunch of people in the spotlight just all got dropped, like after his main charges and his main rulings all went down. So that's something that I just wanted to remind the public of. And if anyone knows any more details, that's basically the extent of my knowledge on it. But that's all that I had on the topic.
Just do keep in mind, SBF was found guilty on all 7 counts he was charged with. This is not all charges dropped, but it's one of those classic things that you would be led to believe is tinfoil hat territory, but then if you pay attention, it just tries to slip right under your radar, but you can catch it if you see it. And there it is.
Yep. Yeah, he was found guilty, but they're not gonna go further into the investigation that would spotlight all of the members of Congress that were given boatloads of money by this dude that misappropriated like billions and billions of dollars.
So, Will, are you talking about how there was hundreds of millions of dollars that was, or billions of dollars that was given away of stolen user funds?
I threw out billions. I don't know the exact number. I just said that because it sounds good, right? But I know that SBF gave a ton of money to like he was the second largest donator to the Democratic Party after I think George Soros. And then I know that he donated a shit ton of money also to the Republicans as well.
I'll have to double check my numbers on this, but what I remember from when I was covering it in the past was it was about $2 billion worth of user funds that were misappropriated. And then specifically for the political donations, I want to say it was $100 million that went just for political donations. And that also allegedly came out of said misappropriated funds. Before we turn it over to Josh, I do have one final point, a little bit of hopium for the gang as we go forward, which is that we did talk about Bitcoin did a 3x, but Ethereum only did a 2x. Remember, we started the year at about $990, and then we ended right now at about $2,200. So that means Ethereum is lagging Bitcoin. We knew this was going to happen because Bitcoin moves first and moves harder. So in case you thought that the ship had already sailed, fun fact, it probably has not. And in fact, there's multiple ways that you could create strategies to try to get in the market in advantageous positions right now. Obviously, this is not financial advice. You can figure it out. You can try to listen to what we're talking about, what we're doing. I'll tell you right now, I'm still just continuing normal DCAs. That's what I'm doing. Do what you want. But there's plenty of opportunity. And honestly, based on everything we've talked about here, a lot of us here at the DGen Roundtable think that Ethereum is going to be the one that pumps harder than Bitcoin. So it's even good news that Ethereum hasn't moved that far. Does it feel like it's moved a good distance? Yeah, for sure. But when you zoom out and you look at the comparisons, there's a lot of opportunity. There's still a good amount of time left. So don't feel you've missed out and just think rationally, have your plan, stick to it.
I am so bullish on Ethereum this cycle, man. I cannot wait. But let's go ahead and hop over and do some community shout outs, gents. What do you guys think about that?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
All right, first up, we had Crypto Boogie was in the chat sending the fire emojis before the show even began. So shout out Boogie. I know we had been chatting in the background. If you're still watching, bro, shout out to you. And if you had to pop off because you got other stuff going on, love your content, man. Keep posting. We appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Next up, we got
real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
Boogie kicked off the year strong. He even had our very own Agent J on his stream to talk about some TA. So if you want a good episode, crossover between DGen Roundtable and US Crypto Boogie, go check him out. He's got good stuff.
That's right. We got Mr. Raymond Carilla. Sup, DGens. We got No Money Mike in the house. What are we drinking? We'll cover that here in a second. We got Scott Connor. What up, G's? Mr. Angry Tweaky himself. What's good, all? We got Jason Smith. Hey, guys. And then, of course, we have one half of brothers. Two of them. Is whiskey actually involved in Whiskey Wednesday? Well, Sam, typically it is. All right. But tonight, I'm not working on whiskey. I'm working on a little bit of clear liquor. That's what I'm working on right now. I need to go and re-up my supply. So I got a little bit of Tito's. Me and Nate are pretty much sipping on the same thing, even though we're a couple time zones apart. But yeah, I'm working on a little Tito's. We got Nate over there. Nate, looks like you're working on some Tito's also. Yeah, man. Will, what are you working on over there?
I've got some delicious birch beer. It's good stuff. I enjoy it. Okay. Or is it? It might be ginger beer. It could be ginger beer. Whatever it is, it's a delicious carbonated beverage with sugar in it because I forgot to pick up alcohol for the stream.
I was going to ask, is that a beer that's formed from like a root of some kind?
Yeah. It's the delicious type instead of the, well, I guess it's all delicious, but this is the sugary non-alcoholic type.
Zenith, what you working on? And then after you answer that question, I got another question for you, man. You just you mentioned that you were out in Washington State. Did you come into any good local either beers or whiskeys or anything while you were out there?
I am a boring man, and I'm actually doing dry January just for a good reset of the year. So I got coffee and cough drops. That's really what it. I probably shouldn't be doing that, but whatever. We'll figure it out. But yes, part of the reason I am doing Dry January is, let's just say, I had a very, very fun time in Washington, and my New Year's consisted of hanging out with some family friends who were like 20 and 21. So it was an odd combination of like, we can go to places that like won't ID at the door, but we'll still grab a beer and whatnot, and then we ended off the night popping a bottle of champagne in a parking lot while setting off fireworks.
Well,
Hey, with that being said, you got to see what I put down here.
yeah, Nate, I wanted to find out. You said you did some wine tastings. What's the wine of the week in your opinion? What was a really good wine that you tried over Christmas break or New Year's? And I heard Miss McGinnis chuckling in the background over there. So that may be
remember the name
that
of it.
may
It was
be
like
more of a question for Mrs. McGinnis if she wants to holler the answer.
This right here. It was a Pinier something, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was the first time I tried it. It was sweet and delicious, fantastic.
Was
Can't
it a
remember the
white?
exact name. It's
it
white.
white?
It's white. Yeah.
The Pinot Grigio, but that is not sweet.
Oh yeah. The Stella Peach was fucking fantastic.
I know Moscato. Usually they can make some pretty good Moscatos. If you like sweet wines, I know Taylor Port has a really good one. That's more of a dessert wine, but that's pretty good. You can sort of sit back and drink that after, a nice meal or something like that and enjoy that. But yeah, if I'm going for wine and I'm in the sweet mood, I'll definitely go with like a nice Moscato or something like that. I think Moscatos are pretty solid when you think of a nice sweet white wine. Will, you got any wine recommendations over there, bud?
I am not a wine person, but I will tell you what, if you're gonna drink wine, you should have honey wine, the mead stuff. That stuff's pretty decent. One of my buddies down in Houston makes his own wine out of a whole bunch of honey, which I didn't really know was a thing. But apparently you can make wine out of honey. You just buy a bunch of honey, buy a bunch of yeast, dump it in a bucket, and let it do its thing. I mean, it's probably more complicated than that, but that shit's pretty damn good.
Actually,
So
my dad used to make
like
wine, and he did
Yeah.
the honey wine, but he added
Mhm.
in dandelions as well. So it was a dandelion honey wine.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
When
it
I was
was
over,
crazy.
I was gonna say when I was over in Spain, they made a lot of orange wine, which I think it's called sangria. That stuff was pretty good, but that shit'll give you like a splitting hangover if you drink too much of it because it's got so much sugar in it. I don't recommend it unless you're gonna like only have a little bit of a sip. But I remember 4th of July over in what was the base? It was like Morón de la Frontera over in bumfuck nowhere, Spain, central south Spain. Just getting plastered on some Spanish wine with way too much sugar in it. I don't know a whole lot about wine. Moscato's pretty good. That's the sugary candy stuff, but all the other wines it's all tastes the same to me.
Sugary stuff will definitely get you. Shoot, I had a chance to go to the Corbel winery, or I guess champagne production place in California. That was a cool tour, first off. But one of the guys we were talking to also said that a lot of the sugary stuff is going to get you, and then also they have a organic. I think it's the Organic Brut champagne from Corbel, California. The guy was like, "Yeah, this stuff doesn't have all that like processed sugar in it, so you can honestly drink this and you'll feel a lot better." So, just a word from a sommelier that I got. But as far as I definitely just dodged Josh's question earlier. Shoot, I was in Bellingham, Washington for a good bit. They have a ton of breweries up there. If you are ever up there, my favorite is Kolshin Brewing. And then also, if you go skiing up at Mount Baker and you're coming back, go to North Forks Brewery. They also serve pizza there. Both are fantastic. And the cool thing is, a lot of those breweries in the area like to collaborate with each other. So you'll get some cool mixes every once in a while. I will say right now, Kolshin has a red ale called Red Cap. That is my favorite. They also do a pretty good like Mexican lager called the Especial. So I know this is a pretty boring beer profile, but not a huge IPA guy. I don't like drinking trees.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. Something for the folks at home to understand, and this is something that I learned from Sterling Cooper, is that hoppy beer, or like specifically IPAs, they have a lot of phytoestrogens in them. So if you drink a ton of IPAs, like a lot of them, then you will retain you'll retain fat easier, and you will also grow man boobs easier because I got just I guess hops, the specific vegetable, has a lot of phytoestrogen. So it's just like eating a lot of soy or eating a lot of flaxseed or consuming things with lots of phytoestrogens. And I do actually have a quick side note. I went to a winery in South Dakota over by Mount Rushmore called Red Ass Winery, and I got rhubarb wine there, and that shit was the best wine that I've ever had. That's good stuff. That's all I got on that.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, big shout out to the live viewers that are watching us live right now. If you guys are a part of the community, make sure you check in the community chat right now. I sent the link out. If you guys want to join us up on the show, have a little conversation or chit chat with us, I sent the link out. You guys can join up. Open invite if you guys want to do that. Also, if you guys have any questions, comments, or if you guys want our take on a certain topic, just throw it out in the comments, whatever you guys feel. While we continue to ramble on, we're just going to talk about a couple other things that we might want to talk about, but we're sort of opening up the conversation right now. So while we do that, again, shout out to those that are watching us live. Checking the Telegram. If you guys haven't joined the Telegram, make sure you join it up. It's free. bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable. If you guys are checking us out on the replay, haven't joined the community yet, make sure you guys join up the community. We got Sam hitting us back with the thanks for the 2024 updates. Of course, man. Of course. You're one half of the brothers, two of them. And I listened to a little bit of y'all's content while I was driving down to Virginia over Christmas break. And love the conversation there. So you guys keep up that fire content. You will. You guys are doing great stuff. We got Crypto Boogie. Thanks, amigos. Of course, my guy. And we got Jason Smith. A lot of juicy news coming out today for sure. There's always juicy news coming out, not only in the crypto Twitter, but also in our Telegram. So join up. All right, Nate, tell us a little bit about chasing candles and Phantom and all that good stuff. What's on your mind?
Yeah. So a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, this thing happened where, maybe the multi-chain on Phantom network got hacked in one way or another. And yeah, some bad things happened and people were getting their funds stolen. And so that caused people to panic and pull their money out. And Phantom and the entire ecosystem started dropping like a rock. So instead of just pulling, for me personally, I'm very bullish on Phantom. Quite frankly, I think the ecosystem itself is one of the funnest to use, a lot like the Pulse Chain ecosystem, but their entire community is extremely strong when it comes to like devs and engineers and these people just trying to build the best possible product. So I'm extremely bullish on it, right? Well, I pulled my funds out of all the different yielding opportunities I could do there, just simply for safety. But I didn't sell anything, and I just held it. And I'm like, all right, well, it'll come back around. I just gotta wait it out. But I had a lot of people saying, "Uh-oh, well, I'm just gonna sell this off and put it into something else." And I was talking with a lot of these people, and they're all sitting there saying, "Well, I mean, there's no use. It's basically dying at this point. I don't see it moving forward." And no matter how much I sat there trying to say, yeah, but they also have they're developing, they're spending everything that they have to develop the best possible products. And not only they have the fastest product, quite frankly, out there, even faster than Solana, and people love Solana. So the thing that I started doing was saying, hey, do not sell this. You are at the bottom right now. If anything else, you're going to want to buy more. And people started saying, nah, I'm going to sell it off. Well, fast forward a good, what was that, about 8 months. And all of a sudden, FTM or Phantom and its ecosystem is kind of taking off. And people are like, whoa, I'm going to buy some more. And I find it very interesting how I was buying when it was at the bottom like that. And my bags are nice and packed. And for those who actually did listen, shout out Willie. He gave me a shout out in the Telegram chat specifically. But there's other people that did listen and they bought, and now they are up. They are up a lot of money. Versus those who I have not heard of or heard from at all, who were selling, and I was telling them, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. Well, they're buying again because their influencer is saying, hey, I'm heavily buying on FTM now. And they're like, oh, I should get back into that now. Okay, well, you already sold at the bottom, right?
Yep,
So if you look
weekends,
at
bro.
it, you have to buy back. This kind of pisses me off how people do this. You have to buy back the coins that you already sold off because you were scared. And now that you've bought that back, now you have to add in more money to get more. How stupid can you be? It's like, I understand the idea. What's up, Will?
I was just gonna say, bro, you should be thanking them. They were so kind as to give you their positions, and now they're pumping the price for you. You know, it's like they're doing nothing but helping you out, man. Like, look, people, we can scream all day long about how cool we think things are, how shitty we think things are, and at the end of the day, like I say many times before, and I'll say many times again, like, we're all telling campfire stories here, and we've all got our own plans, and some people, they think they'll have better plans. Some people, they think they all have worse plans, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But like, the only thing that matters is the actions that you take, and the actions that you took were congruent with what you thought was going to happen. Same with them. And the ones that will probably win as a result of this is the ones who stood in line with you and believed in the thing when it was down. And it's just like, this is the peanut brain diamond hand strategy. You know, you took your stuff off of the place where it was endangered, like where if the whole system got rugged, then it's like, or not the whole system, but like the yielding strategies and all that stuff. Like, if like you took it out, but you didn't sell the assets that were valuable, you kept a hold of them, and then, or at least the things that you believed in, and like other people didn't believe, and now they're changing their minds, and so they're paying the price of their indecision, as opposed to sticking with sticking by the decision they'd made and saying screw it all. It's like, this is the whole part of, like, to the not to the winner go the spoils, but something like the people who take massive risks not only get wrecked massively, but they also have the massive gains, right? And so, like, the people who are just kind of like timid and shy and making emotional decisions, like, they get wrecked every step of the way. And so this is a learning opportunity. If that was you, and you happen to sell when it was low, and now you're buying when it's high again, then it's like, okay, I mean, I wish you the best of luck. You didn't have to do that, but like, perhaps this could be a learning opportunity for you here. So that's all that I had wanted to say on that, Nate.
Well, no, I agree with you on that one. Here's the thing. So you talk about peanut brain, right? Here was my peanut brain idea. Phantom is specifying themselves to be all devs and engineers and creating the best products. Cool.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to do that, are they going to let something that technically wasn't even a hack? It was just somebody, they were just stupid with their internal stuff and gave somebody the keys, basically. And then they shared them with family and started taking money. So because it's not technically a technical hack, it was like a human hack, so to say, right? My whole idea was, even if this was a technical hack where they somehow, some way hacked into the multi-bridge, I literally just sat there and thought, they're the best devs literally in the industry. They're going to figure it out, and they are going to solve this problem. So I'm just going to pull everything off and just wait for them to fix it, and then I'll put it back in later. That was literally my peanut brain thinking. I'm just going to let them fix it real quick, and then I'll put it back in. I did not believe for a millisecond that these guys were gonna fail at this. But then again, I guess that's my conviction, and I mean, you're correct. You know, you have a certain idea about how something should process with the camp stores and all that, and so then you just hold to it and say, "This is what I believe is going to happen," and you keep it.
There's definitely something to be said about just making the plan and sticking to it. However, at the same time, specifically in crypto, like, there is going to be a point where all of us will be selling a large majority, if not all of our portfolio, minus like a small moon bag. That's something to be planned for, as opposed to like traditional finance, like retirement planning, which is like you are parking this money in the S&P 500 and never touching it until you're 65. The reason that we have that different strategy is because of the way that our markets work. However, at the same time, if you're trying to like on a micro scale capture drops in something, this is an idea that I've been working with recently, thanks to Walrus and his recommendation for the book Thinking in Bets, which is that if you're doing bet sizing, your bet sizing has to be in proportion to the amount you can either gain, lose, and also fluctuates based on the possibility of the move that you're expecting. So nothing is guaranteed in this crazy world of crypto. So you kind of have to assume, you can look at the chart and be like, okay, I think this is going down like this much. Therefore, if I get out now and get out down there and get back in down there, I will theoretically have gained like 20, 30%. But did you factor in the probability that it doesn't do that, and therefore you lose that much? Once you factor in those probabilities, what you start seeing is that you don't know which way it's going. Therefore, the reward for your risk actually has to be greater, sometimes much greater, based on the probability of it. Like even a 50-50 shot of something, you should theoretically be doubling the reward to make that play. You can get real deep on this stuff, but at the end of the day, whether you're doing it for tax purposes or like trying to capture small gains or like maybe capitalize on 60-day cycles if you're part of that gang that believes that. But really, the big one that we all focus on is 4-year cycle. And even then, there's strategies for getting in and strategies for getting out. And I tell you this, those are very high probability, high potential plays. So that's why we do them.
You want to know the peanut brain for succeeding with that strategy, that type of strategy?
Yeah, let's hear
it. Instead of selling for it to drop and then buying back in to get even more coins, you could, just leave the coins and then, on ramp some dirty fiat and get rid of that nasty stuff for better coins, nice shiny coins.
Ew, definitely is.
What'd you say the name of that book was? Oh,
hey.
Well.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're wearing identical clothing.
They look familiar.
Bungalows to Bachelors himself, Mr. Sam Stevenson. What's up, buddy?
What a pleasant surprise.
The costume matching was not intentional. Not much. I'm just driving across the city with a bunch of tools in my car. I have no more air left, just tools.
Are you wearing a
But
Bad Idea t-shirt as well underneath? You are, aren't you?
No, that would be my Fantastic Brothers brand, and he sports it better than I, so that's a him thing.
Well, it looks like you got a
black
shirt over there. So is it like the black Bad Idea t-shirt? And
I follow the black shirts of Michael Sartain. So if no one's heard of Men of Action, you ought to check it out and join, because it's a fantastic program. But
even if for people, just shout out on the Men of Action stuff. Even for people that don't want to join the full thing, he does have a free school server that is also definitely worthwhile checking out. So get in there.
10 out of 10. I had a question though, because you guys were talking about Phantom and kind of making fun of these guys that sold their coins at the bottom, which is a little silly, and then bought back in. But what I wondered about was the premise of, like, the second best time to plant a tree is now, right? So if these people sort of understand what they did and they're just like, well, crap, but I'm going to get back in and know that I'm just not going to get the 10x or whatever. I'm just going to be happy with a 2x. Like, is that still an acceptable strategy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, of course, a lot of it depends on what your mindset is, and I'll answer this, and then we can pass it around the panel. If you initially got in, you were new, and you were just buying everything under the sun, and then the market took a dump, and you realized that you weren't really in a position, so you decided to consolidate a little bit, or whatever the case is. If you had weak hands and you just got shook out, then you just got shook out. You're going to have to make the conscious effort to do the research, do the due diligence, and really get that conviction to be able to hold on to that stuff for the long term. But absolutely, man. I mean, if you had sold out and you understand that you made a mistake and you're like, okay, you know what? We're coming up on a new cycle now. I'm a little bit farther down the road than I was, this time last year, because I was still new last year. I've been going through a year of crypto content and I'm understanding things a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. You know, where you buy in now, it's obviously going to be in a much better position a year to a year and a half to 2 years from now, as long as the 4-year cycle stays the same. Absolutely. You're still going to make money, and it's a no-brainer decision. So a lot of it comes down to where you are mentally and where you are, I guess, in your investment game, if you've actually put in the due diligence or if you're the same person. Because if you're the same person that sold down at the bottom of the market a year ago and you're buying in now, well, you know, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So unless you actually change your effort, you change your mindset, you change your conviction through studying, due diligence, and just putting in all the time and the effort, then things aren't going to be any different. But if you have a difference in opinion, if you have a difference in your conviction, if you have put in that experience and you have put in that hard work to truly understand and improve your game, and you buy in now, absolutely, because you are better off down the road. That's my insight on it. Panel, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Do you guys have any comments on that?
Do you mind if I take this real quick?
Go ahead, bud.
Exactly what you said there, Josh. I originally, started off in 2020, 2021 doing crypto and got wrecked for it, right? So I gave one last chance. I was like, I'm out of crypto. I'm not doing it anymore. Went almost a full year, and then right around, it was September of 2022, right? I was like, you know what? I'll give this crypto thing one last try. But here's what I didn't do what I was already doing. I knew that if I had already done that again, I was going to get wrecked, right? So my idea was this. I see an opportunity to pay. For the first time in my life, I was like, I will pay a mentor to help teach me. Even though I have to pay money for it and all that, but I will actually do that. And I started learning, and with all the help that I was getting from a community, I am now where I am here. So what did I do different? I literally just went for a mentor instead of trying to learn it all myself. Though no single man can do it himself, because you always need at least if it's not a band of brothers, you need a community of some kind. You need at least a mentor, right? If you really truly man of action, right? Or men of action, sorry. If you need to, pay for it. Pay somebody to help mentor you. And that alone is going to set you up for success.
Yeah, it definitely, as long as you're picking the right mentors, you know what I'm saying? As long as, you get in with a group of like-minded people and you're in with a community and you type in bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Will, I see you coming off of mute there, throwing your 2 cents here, and then Zenith, I want to throw it over to you.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, Sam, that it is wise to, like, the phrase that you had said about the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. The important thing to remember is the framing, right? So we were obviously laughing at these silly gooses, silly decisions, right? But the next, and it's an arguably bad thing to do, to sell at the bottom and then rebuy back on the way in. The the thing that's more important than the X's right there is the lesson that comes from the decision making process. And really, like like, I almost want to say that there is no lesson, because it's all just kind of a crapshoot. We're all just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks and hoping that our coins and the things that we pick are the ones that end up going up. Like we can believe it's because the community, we can believe it's because the happening, we can believe it's because El Salvador adopted a coin as its currency or whatever. But the way that you frame the way that a person approaches this sort of dilemma is the ultimate, like, the thing that will separate the wheat from the chaff. Like, if they sold low and they bought back in right now because of FOMO, then it's a different story than if they sold low and they bought back in because, like what Nate and Josh were saying, like they realized that they made a mistake and like they learned something from it and yada yada yada. Does that make sense? Like one is an emotional decision and the other one is a reasoned decision with like the understanding, like, oh, I made a mistake, I need to not make that mistake again.
Yeah, and the thing I put it in the chat there, but I mean, it really like it bothers me, man, because it's like you have the opportunity, you have somebody even telling you like, hey, it's not going to fail because of these reasons, and then you're still like, yeah, but I'm scared about it, so I'm going to do it anyways. It's like,
Zenith, what were you saying there, bud?
I guess it's my turn to chime in with a technical answer to this question. So, is there a bad time to get in? Well, it depends on what your goals are. That's step one of everything, is define your goals. And part of that is defining your time frame. Are you trying to make money this cycle? Or are you just trying to buy an asset that you're going to hold on to for maybe like 5,555 days or 50 years? Because that's going to change the math. Because the basic principle that we operate off is the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. Eventually, at some point, that will transfer to more of an 8-year cycle at some point. Don't know when, but based on everything we've seen so far, it's going to get there eventually. So the question is, what's your time frame? Even if you are just trying to trade for one cycle, really the only bad time to get into the market is during a bear market. But like some advice that I got from our buddy RG3 about, if you saw the highest of stakes, his friend bought into Hex when it was like 50 cents right before the top and it went down. Everybody who saw that movie thought that guy got absolutely wrecked because he bought the top. But RG had a chance to talk with RG3, and he was like, yeah, sure. Did it hurt? Yes. But the other answer to that question is you keep buying on the way down. So if you have a solid DCA strategy, you theoretically can mitigate that downside risk, even if you're getting in at the worst time. So there's ways to do it. But yeah, I mean, if you have the mentality that you're here for the long term, even if you bought at a top, if you buy an asset that you are very sure is going to stand the test of time and is going to do that, aka it's like really just Bitcoin or Ethereum at this point. We don't know what the next one is. A lot of people are saying Solana and Cardano. We'll see. But it's the idea that like if you think that this is going to be worth more in the future, it really doesn't matter where you get in. It will change your X's for sure, because there's always a mathematical top and bottom. Fun fact, you are never going to predict those accurately. You might be able to get in a decent ballpark, but you're never going to get it right on the money. So you're never going to get that theoretical max, but you can do a pretty good job of getting close, as long as you know what you're doing and you're studying and you're keeping up with it. So that's what I got.
And look, I'm going to go on a little bit of a monologue here, but I think it's important to point out, the cryptocurrency space, it's not for undisciplined crowd surfers that are just looking to get rich quick. That's not the case at all. It takes true discipline to truly succeed in the crypto space. Yeah, I played 4 years of high school football. Okay, so every August we would be in 2-a-days. And if you guys on the panel, if you guys play sports in high school, specifically football, I'm sure you guys can, appreciate what I'm saying here. Those 2-a-days in August, they absolutely sucked. Out there in the 95, 100 degree humidity, heat with the humidity at 85, 90, 100%, especially down in Virginia. You know what I'm saying with that humidity? It absolutely sucked, man. But by the time we got into August or by the time we got into November and December, like it made it so much more worth it. You know what I'm saying? And Will, you think about when you went through Marine Corps boot camp, when I went through Army basic training, Zenith, when you went through what you went through with the Coast Guard, we were instilled discipline. We had to go through that initial training. It absolutely sucked. And when you guys think about it, there is no better experience than a bear market in the crypto space. When you see nothing but your portfolio shitting the bed and you are sitting there staring at a 70 to 80% deficit in your portfolio, it forces you to forge diamond hands, and it gets into your gut and it gives you that death-like feeling to now you get to the point to where, oh, it's a 10% pump. Oh, it's a 10% drop. Whatever. Wake me when this happens. I'm going back to bed. And it takes that sort of discipline. And I brought up the football stuff. I brought up the stuff of the military to say that you need to put yourself through those hard situations. And the only way that you can do it is if you get into the game and you force yourself to make those mistakes and you force yourself to experience that stuff. The best advice in the world, Will, I'm sure you can speak to this. I think I've heard you say this before. I know Will, I know Nate, you guys can appreciate this also. The best advice that you can get are those advices that you pay for when you see your portfolio drop during a bear market. There is nothing but the world of appreciation that I have for that. I didn't appreciate it in the time, but I appreciate it now. And Sam from Brother 64, he talked about it, Will, when we were on our live stream with him. And he talked about paying for that price and paying for that discipline. And that discipline is how you're going to make it. This is a long-term gain. All right. End of rant.
Well said. That was good, bro. I like that.
End of rant. I'm going to
clip it. Dace and I were talking about this because of Illuvium right now. And the point that I had made during our call on the Telegram was that when you're born in a bear, or at least you've gone through a bear to the point where you do get that discipline, you start almost getting excited about these big red candles. And it almost feels unhealthy at some points because you're like, yay, look at my money go. And all of a sudden you get this huge red candle, your money drops. You're like, I'm even more excited now because I can buy more. And you start understanding that when you've been through the worst of it, if you get more green candles than your red candles, the red candles turn into nothing but hopium for you because you're like, oh, that means I can buy more to get more green candles. Nice. And it's a completely different outlook when you look at the people who watch their funds go down during the bear and then be like, it's all over. I'm pulling out. I lost everything. Well, maybe you didn't.
I can absolutely vouch for Will there. I have heard those exact words come out of his mouth watching a chart. Look at this fat red candle. He's like, ooh, I could buy more.
Yes, I can see Will doing that. Woo, totally.
Sam, ooh, at red candle. Ooh.
Sam, I got a question for you, bud.
What's up?
What's going on in 2024 with Brothers, two of them? What do you have on deck for you and Sam? What are you thinking? What's the direction you want to take the channel?
That's a great question. We are going to hopefully get a podcast running with a guest from Australia, New Zealand, Australia, one of those two. So I've been basically doing a whole bunch of shit posting on threads to try to fish for people that want to have controversial conversations, and hooked one, and she's actually quite an educated, seemingly pleasant person to have a conversation with. So we're going to try to have that conversation about sexual promiscuity, and how, basically, should women be advertising on Instagram and this, that, and the other? Is that bad? Is that good? What is it? What is it about? So we'll have a little bit of that conversation coming up here in January. But other than that, we're probably just going to maybe get together in person sometime once he's back from New York, and maybe do some cool live stream talking about a different topic. But other than that, we're going to try to fish out some more guests and see what kinds of conversations we can have with all different kinds of people, and preferably like women, because they're a lot of these difficult conversations. When you hear it all from the guy's perspective, it frames it all in a certain way. But it's like, as soon as you start having these conversations with women too, then you're opening up a new can and hopefully getting new perspectives. So hopefully that's coming out of 2024, but we'll have to see.
Did he tell you how hungover he was the second night we were in Miami? Did he go into that story at all?
I did not hear about this.
Much.
And how he was absolute. So look, him and I got an Airbnb, right? So we get down there. What do we get down there on a Friday night?
I think so,
Is
yeah.
that it? Yeah, Friday night. So what did we end up doing? We just went over to Brendan's. He cooked up some steak, and then we ended up going to his local watering hole or something like that. We kept it relatively chiller. Yeah, what else
we
did
also
we do?
had we had an entire channel call after we went to after we went to the local pub. The whole DGen roundtable, like all of the leadership guys, all 10 of us all got together, and we were having a call on, I think on either your laptop, Josh, or it was on Brendan's. But oh man, I drank so much that night. I just remember everyone was talking about things. I have no idea what we discussed that whole call. Not a clue. It is all gone.
Anyway, Sam, your brother couldn't get out of bed until like 2:00 in the afternoon. Just throwing that out there. He was absolutely just done for until about 2:00 in the afternoon. So
it was a good time.
It sounds like he got exactly what he wanted.
Yep.
Cool deal.
Extracted value out of Miami.
Sam, did you want to hop on? Did you have another question for us? Were you going to hop off? What was your plan, bud?
Yeah, I'll hop off and just listen to you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Did you have any final questions or anything like that before you pop off?
I don't think so.
Okay, man. Hey, we appreciate it.
Diamond hands. Hello, Mr. Pumpkin.
All right.
He says hello.
Stuff.
He's adorable. He's like literally sleeping on you.
Is a very pliable and chill cat.
Oh, he's a super chill cat. Holy crap!
You gonna give me a kiss? Nope. That was negative body language.
He will headbutt. He headbutts me sometimes when I get a drive with him. He'll be sitting in my lap and he'll just like headbutt my chin very affectionately. But anyways, it was good to talk to you, Sam. It was good to see Mr. Pumpkin. Good questions and everything.
All right, man. We'll catch you later.
See you, gentlemen.
All right, see you. All right. Gentlemen. Figure we bring in Mr.
Hey. We got a guy with a mask on this show. What the heck's going on here?
Hey, boom,
well.
Boom, I'm back, monkeys. I am back. I hear that you monkeys are talking a little bit about
so dark.
Alcohol tonight. Huh?
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right. Let me show you my drink of the day. Of course, I'm not consuming alcohol right now, but this one is off the chain. None other than Tequila Fortaleza. I am a tequila guy. I love drinking tequila.
Yes.
Now, this is a more expensive tequila, and it's mostly found in Mexico. Here in the United States, they named it this way because in Mexico, it's called Los Abuelos. In the States, I think there was a trademark copy problem or something of that nature, so they had to change up the name for us, for the gringos, for you cool gringos. This is one hell of a tequila, cat. This tequila is probably the best, and this is the Anejo.
Did you say the name was Los Abuelos?
Yes, that is the
Not
name.
the
Grandfathers?
Yes, the grandfathers.
All right.
Dude, that tequila is freaking amazing, son. Now, if you guys are consuming tequila and you don't want to spend $150 on a bottle, I would recommend the 1800 Anejo or the 1800 Reposado with a little bit of lime. It is smooth as hell, man.
How do you drink tequila? Oh, do you have to like force yourself to, like with whiskey? So like obviously, I mean, I don't know for everybody else, but for me, like I had to force myself to drink whiskey. It was probably 7-8 years ago. I was sitting around. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to learn how to drink whiskey. So I learned how to drink whiskey, and now that's my thing. Like I absolutely love it. Drink it straight. I'll drink it on the rocks. I'll drink it neat. Don't care. But I had to force myself to do it until I actually appreciated it. But like with tequila, like Boogie, for you, like, did you just automatically like tequila, or was it something that, you know, because of heritage and because of, you know, your upbringing, it was something that, you know, it was like, no, you either like tequila or you're dead to the family?
Oh, yeah. I'm a dirty Mexican.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm joking, Cass. I'm joking. I actually used to drink beer. And then I got into the keto diet, and I actually migrated over to Scotch. I tried drinking Scotch. I had a Macallan, I think it was a Macallan 12, and I've got another one there. I forgot the name of it. Belvini. I tried pounding the Belvina tequila, not tequila, the Scotch as well, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't freaking do it. So, one of my homies told me, dude, why don't you go with the tequila? I'm like, tequila's horrible. You know what I'm saying? It tastes like crap. He goes, no, bro. It's a cheap tequila that gives tequila in itself a bad name. So I did a little bit of research and I found some really good tequilas, and you'd be surprised. Now, here in the state of Texas, you can, I mean, if your parents give you consent and you are under the age of 18, they can give you a little bit of alcohol. I remember that I went to one of my buddy's New Year's Eve parties last year, and his daughter had just turned 16. She goes, Dad, I want a shot of 1800. Dad's like, and I'm like, bro, I don't know about that. So he goes, just pour her a drink. I poured a little bit of a drink, half a shot, not too much, man, a little bit of lime, and she drank it. This 16-year-old girl, she goes, wow, Daddy, this is delicious. So tequila's really not that bad. The thing is, people tend to pick bad tequila, or bars tend to pick bad tequila because that's what they used to mix their drinks with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the cheap stuff.
Yeah, 1800 is great. Highly recommend 1800, man. A little bit of lime, dude, you'll do fine.
I can tell you right now that in Wisconsin, it is the opposite side. It doesn't even matter about if you need the child's consent or not. You can go to any bar with your child. Doesn't matter the age. You can literally buy them a beer if you want.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can. You can do the same thing here in Texas, but a lot of restaurants don't do it because they don't want to cross that fine line. You know?
Yeah. Wisconsin has 12 of the 15th most I think it's called drunkenness cities or whatever. So it makes sense. But makes sense. But how do you drink because like with whiskey, you know, Josh, like with me specifically, I need, you know, some cubes in there, nice large ice in there, and then you just sip on it, and it's so fantastic, especially when you get a really good whiskey, or even like Scotch, it works as well. How do you drink Boogie tequila? Like, what's your technique? Like, how do you do it?
If I'm dude, I keep it simple. I grab a couple of limes, pour a little bit of salt on them. I go ahead and I pound the lime, then I just take the shot. It's actually, dude, it's pretty smooth, believe it or not.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate like the cheap whiskey or like the cheap tequila versus the expensive tequila, because in a lot of ways it's the same way with whiskey. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get one of the cheap whiskeys out there and it doesn't really taste that good. But if you slap, you know, like for me, I love Buffalo Trace. I like Angel's Envy. I like, you know, there are a couple other ones that I like out there. I like rye whiskeys personally.
Yeah.
Not really a weeded whiskey person. I'm more rye because I don't like that burn in the back of your throat. And I feel like rye whiskeys, it takes away that burn. But yeah, I can appreciate that. The difference between, you know, a little bit pricier tequila versus a cheap tequila. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, dude, 1800 isn't that expensive. You could probably get like a regular bottle, like a normal bottle for about $50, dude. And it's affordable. Know what I mean? If we end up meeting up at the at the next crypto mindset meetup, whenever it does happen, you guys introduce me to your best whiskey and I'll introduce you to some good tequila.
I like it. You know, I had floated an idea by Will. I texted him the other day and he said he really liked the idea. I floated the idea of maybe sometime in the spring meeting up in Texas and hitting a range one weekend.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah, maybe Will, Boogie, Zenith, if you can make the trip. Nate, if you can make the trip, that'd be phenomenal. Get you out on the range, shooting a little bit with Boogie.
There's
and Will.
Nothing I would love more.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna lie. If I can get out there, but that's a long trip for me, man. That's opposite end. Well, technically, it's only a 12-hour drive though, from north to south, right? So from where I'm at.
You might be looking at like it's like 10 hours from one side of Texas to the other side of Texas. So depending on where we're meeting up at in Texas, that'll add some.
Let's pick the Central Texas, homie. San Antonio, Austin. Yep. That'd be dope, bro. Driving all the way from South Texas all the way up to Dallas, you talk about 9.5 hours, dog. It's like I seen a map of Texas over Western Europe, bro, and it was almost bigger than Western Europe, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dude, Texas is where it's at, man.
The people, foreigners have talked about, you know, people who have never come to the United States of America before. Every single person who has visited for the first time and then leaves and goes back, it's like, so what was your experience? The first thing anybody will say is, I can't believe just how big every single state is. I don't know why, but apparently we have like this illusion that we here at United States of America is not as big as they think we are. And as soon as they get here, they're like a couple hours into a trip and they're still in the same state, and they can't fathom it.
Yeah, we could probably associate. The United States could probably associate itself a little bit better with Chinese and Russians, since they do have a bigger country, if anything. I'm saying, of course, we're beefing with those two countries, but we could probably associate with them as to the large amounts of freaking land we have to cover to get from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Boogie, we started off the show talking about the news that came out, the rumor. It's more rumor than it is news, but the rumor that the Bitcoin spot ETF was going to be rejected in January caused a little bit of a liquidation event, caused a little bit of a sell-off. What are your thoughts on that? Did you been able to put any sort of thoughts, any sort of research together behind it? What are you seeing?
Gary Gensler did make a statement. If you cats remember, he did make a statement that he's trying to adjust his rules to whatever the court ended up ruling. I am under the assumption, and of course, last time I was on DGen Roundtable, I had thrown the wrench at you cats, saying that maybe what if freaking Gary Gensler doesn't approve it. But I think he probably will, man. I think that a lot of the bigger companies are probably trying to freaking fut us out so they can shake us up so we can dump our bags. That way they can buy cheaper one last time before it gets approved, which is a great buying event, if anything, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah. It would be nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all had our difference. You know, we all had a similar, I guess, opinion. You know, FUD is FUD. Weekends are going to get shaken out. This is what's going to happen. And it's interesting how just a little bit of news, you know what I'm saying, can shake out the space, so to speak. So that was my take on it. You know, it's weekends are going to weekend. It's what they're going to do. You're going to get this sort of events. But you're absolutely right. It creates more buying opportunities, and it really gives people, I don't know, dude. Like, my big thing, man, is just like the lessons that you have to learn. Like, as I get more and more in the space, as our channel grows more and more, as we get more and more folks, like for me, I like to look back on where I was like 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? When I didn't know what I know now, I didn't go through the experiences that I went through. I absolutely love being able to look back on that and being able to echo what my thoughts are on the case. And to me, I think events like this are absolutely perfect for new people. If you've been in the game for less than 6 months, a situation like this, you know, where it forces you to be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like, all the fucking news is saying this thing's going to get it, you know, passed. Everything is saying that. We got money coming into the space over the last 60 to 90 days that's been flooding in. Every single rumor mill is like, yo, this thing's coming through, you know, and all of a sudden, like, there's a little bit of a rumor, and all of a sudden it causes liquidations. You know what I'm saying? I think people need to go through that. They need to experience that, because honestly, until people go through that, and I just said that on my last monologue about 5 or 10 minutes ago, I don't want to rehash much of what I said there. But those diamond hands are needed, and the only way that you're going to learn how to forge those diamond hands is to be put in that sort of situation. Just like, you know, all the stuff that you went through in the Marine Corps, when you went through Marine Corps basic training and you did all your stuff, Boogie, in the Marine Corps, you know, you owe, you know, all that discipline and everything you learned in basic training to the success that you had in your military career. You know what I'm saying? It was because you had to go through that. That it sets you up for that success. And I think it's very similar to the crypto side.
Yeah, I concur. And you know what's wild? Yesterday, I did a little bit of a rush stream. I didn't get to prepare the memes because one of my best buddies, his son wanted to onboard onto crypto, and he came over to my residence, and I was trying to help him out, trying to get him onboarded. And dude, I forgot how much of a bitch it was to onboard, homie. I asked him, so what are you interested in? What are you looking at? He goes, well, I've been watching your streams. And he told me, well, I like Ethereum. You always talk about keeping half of the bag in Ethereum. He goes, you always talk about Phantom and how much you like the project, but you don't like Michael Kong. And you're always talking about this really cool fat guy named Richard Hart. And I was like, so that's telling me you want to get into Hex, Pulse Chain, Phantom, and Ethereum? He goes, yeah. So We got them onboarded into freaking Ethereum. We were so close to onboard them onto Phantom, and I was looking at the cycles, and dude, it's a good thing that there was a delay on onboarding him onto Phantom, because now he gets to buy in lower. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good thing he got a little bit of delay to get into Pulse Chain and to EHEX and PHEX. You know what I'm saying?
This brings up a really good topic of conversation that we'll move to here in a second. Absolutely. I want to give the panel the opportunity to respond to the question that you asked. So, Zenith, Will, Nate, do you guys have anything you want to throw in there?
Talking about the ETF narrative?
Yeah.
So two things. As far as the narrative goes, is this something that we've seen happen previously? Yes, absolutely. It's entirely possible that there could be a bit of a play behind closed doors to get that dip before that big pump. And then also, if you want to look at it from the fundamental level, like theoretically, could the timelines match up? Absolutely, especially if you look at the 60-day cycles. We're on day 51 right now. The iShares is their approval date is the 14th of January. If I had to bet money on which ETF is the most likely to get approved, the first one, I'd argue it's BlackRock. So that would line up at day 61 of our cycle, which is just in time for a nice cycle low. So having a low right before we pump up makes sense in my mind.
I'm going to take.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm going to take the never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity route, where I'm going to say that I will agree that it could be BlackRock and the government and State Street and Gary Gensler all doing this crazy silliness all combined, or it could just be a bunch of idiots in the marketplace selling their coins because they're weak hands, or it could be like
bumbling
it could just be things, right? It could be nefarious action. It could be people doing the silliness, trying to get us to sell so they could buy our bags and stuff. But like at the end of the day, I don't think that it does one a whole lot of profit to try and figure out why the things are happening after they've already happened. It's just to be like, oh, well, things are happening, better take action, whatever my actions may be, like price go down, buy, price go up, sell, whatever the case may be. But I definitely think that it's certainly a possibility that the SEC did some silliness, but I think it's more likely that it's just some silly gooses reacting to news and pissing themselves. Nate, what you got, bro?
I think you're right about some silly gooses just pissing themselves. Quite frankly, the way that I'm looking at it is you obviously need to you need to figure out timeline first. Are you talking about like in the next 2 months, or are you talking about like in the next year? Because there's a big difference there, right? Now, if you're watching, as far as I'm concerned, let me go peanut brain here for a second. As far as I'm concerned, right? It's going to go up, it's going to go down, then it's going to go up again, then it's going to go down again. Oh, and then guess what? It goes up after that, right? What makes it go up and down? I don't know. I don't think I really care. All that I know is that as of currently, we're going up. So my bag's already packed. I'm in that position. And markets tend to be positioning, right? It really does not matter how tricky you can be, as long as you're positioned properly. And so for me, I've positioned myself to where I bought up basically the entirety of the bottom, going all the way down like this, and I've bought all the way into here, right? Okay, now I find myself in a position where I'm like, you know what? I'm completely out of money, and now what I'm going to do is, instead of just onboarding more money, I think I'm just going to let things ride upwards, sitting on the bags that I've already made. Maybe I'll make a few trades here and there, but not being too tricky. And I'm just going to let crypto do what crypto does, which is leverage itself. And those leverage plays that will literally retire people is the leverage that I'm using right now of the HODL strategy. And so I'm just going to let things kind of bounce up and down, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with people freaking out and pissing themselves, as Will would say. And be part of it. But I know for myself, the strategy is simply, hey, calm down, take a step back, things go up, things go down. I'm in a good position. Let's watch the fun.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to do one more round of community shout-outs, then I got another question for the panel. So, Brother64 hopping in the chat. We appreciate it, Sam. Love the content that you're putting out. Keep putting it out. He says, hey, guys, thanks for pumping out all the golden content over the holidays. Been catching replays for a minute and still haven't caught up. For sure, my man. Keep watching that content. Keep checking in with us. We appreciate the love and definitely appreciate the partnership that we have with you. Awesome. Can't wait to have you back on our stream again. We got Crypto Chronic in the house. Only the strong, persistent survive. That is 100% true, my man.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, that's right. And then Jason Smith coming in. My ex thinks crypto will be shut down or turned off. Did I mention that she's my ex?
Smart man.
All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let me get that comment off real quick. All right. So while I'm popping this comment off, final question that I have for you guys. We are getting into a space where adoption is going to start happening pretty quick, especially as we start to approach the halving coming up, April, May-ish timeframe. And then we're going to see, if history rhymes, if it plays out like it has in the past, we'll see that sort of parabolic move for Bitcoin, and then we'll start to see all the altcoins start to follow suit. All right, and then we're going to get into a euphoria stage. All right, so not too long, not too far away, we're going to have a lot of people coming up to us asking us about crypto. We already do. We have it in the chat, but I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's not so much with me. I don't have too many people coming up to me on the street asking me about cryptocurrency, but that's just because of my full-time job. I'm not going to dox what I do or anything like that, but the life that I live, you guys know the sort of lifestyle that I have, what I do for work and all that stuff. It's not really what I do sort of in my professional side. But so I want to talk about I want to talk about onboarding. Okay. I want to know sort of techniques, strategies, stuff that you guys have used. What are some things that you guys have done for folks that are onboarding? I'll lead it first. And, this is sort of the sort of conversation I want to have. I want to get 5 different opinions and viewpoints out there to the ether, so to speak, so people will know. So if people's friends or family members that are watching us live or that are watching us in the replay, if they have folks that they want to onboard, they can hear a couple different strategies of ways that they like to do things. So for me, what I like to do with folks is I like to first make sure that they have a solid commitment and find out what their willingness to go through the hard work and the dedication is. So once I find that out and I say, okay, you know what, I think crypto will be good for you as long as you stick it out on the long haul. I'm going to find out probably 3 to 4 initially, 3 to 4 coins that they like. All right. And then I'm going to find out what their total investment is looking like. I'm going to find out if they're going to do monthly investments, if they just have a sort of a lump sum one-time thing, maybe 10K, maybe 20K, whatever they want to do, and try to get them in the best positions possible. Once I found out all that information, okay, what I like to do is I like to say, okay, well, I'll draw a roadmap out for them at that point. Let's say it's around $10,000. What I'll say is, okay, well, we'll take 4 coins, for example. Let's say we have Ethereum. We'll call Ethereum, Phantom, Illuvium, and let's say Gala. All right, let's say we got those 4. All right, I'm just pulling out 4 coins just randomly. That's when somebody comes to me. They say, hey, this is what they're interested in. That's what we'll do. So I'll say, okay, all right, so you're going to total invest around 10K. You're not going to do any monthly payments. So here's what we're going to look at doing. Okay, so I'm going to do an initial $1,000 investment into Ethereum for them. Boom, get them into Ethereum. All right, now you're in Ethereum. And then I'm going to do $500 of each into the other 3 coins. So we got Phantom, Illuvium, and Gala. All right, so right there, they're sitting there. That is $2,500. All right, so they had 25% in, and then I'm going to set up a DCA strategy for them. I'm pretty much going to stick with a 2-week bi-weekly DCA investment strategy to where they are going to invest at that point. They're going to do $100 into Ethereum and then $50 every 2 weeks. All right. Now, given the space that we're in right now, maybe it's every week. I would bump them up to every week. If we were like a year ago when we were at the bottom of the market, I would probably say once every 2 weeks. But around here, I would say, okay, once a week, you're going to do 100 into Ethereum, 50 into Illuvium, 50 into Phantom, 50 into Gala. All right. And that's how I would get them to initially buy in and get their DCA in place. And then the first thing that I did was evaluate their willingness to stick around, to put in the work, put in the knowledge, and make sure that crypto is the right fit for them. So that's the way that I onboard. And like I said, those 4 coins, I just pulled those out of the air. I just pulled them out of the air for, explanation's sake. So Zenith, I want you to go, and then Boogie, if you guys could sort of speak on that a little bit.
That was a good in-depth one. When you asked that question, my brain, this is something I've actually been considering for doing an in-person presentation on for DGen Roundtable, and also trying to throw a little bit out there during the Hex conference, which is that as a crypto community, we just need a better sales pitch, and you just need to do it better and understand that we're not trying to immediately pitch that the first thing you should be doing is like creating a staking pool on SushiSwap to stake Luvium and Ethereum for the last like 5 or 6 epochs that are going to grant you any real actual APY or anything. No. What you got to do is you got to make your sales pitch, which is one of the best ways you can do a sales pitch, in my personal opinion, is kind of how you do with like political candidates, which is you don't pitch your candidate first, you build the villain. So the villain in our case is, why are you investing in crypto? A, because the original cryptocurrency that has gone down 90% in value in the last 60 years is the US dollar. Inflation is rampant. The Fed has come out recently and said that there is an infinite amount of money at the Federal Reserve, which should be scaring people a good bit. So cool. You build up the systems and you say, cool, this is your pain. This is what's causing you problems. Now, let's talk about what you want to do in the future. You want to build wealth. You want to have something that holds value over time, or even better, goes up. Cool. There's this asset that is now the best performing asset class in history. And guess what? Signs are showing that the number 1 and number 2 leaders in that space are going to be doing the test of time and sticking around for a good long while. Now, you might not even be invested in this whole, like, not your keys, not your crypto thing, but if you're invested in the price of Bitcoin per se, there are ways that you can onboard people into that. Be like, yeah, sure, go download Robinhood. It's super easy. You can do it on your phone, or even on Fidelity when we get ETFs. But then after that, the step is like, cool, now that you've got a taste for it and you understand how the market works, learn a 4-year cycle, learn support and resistance, learn some fundamentals of like coins and like whether or not they have a max cap or anything. And then after that, you can start talking to them about like, cool, here's how the market cycles work. Bitcoin and Ethereum are cool. These are long-term plays. If you want something that's even more aggressive, there are options. Here's how you can research it. Go for it. So show them where the things are currently failing, what is the option, and what's the onboarding path. You have that's the pitch that I'm working on, and I think that it's something we could do better. As far as specific coins, the ones that I talked about, people, is cool. Bitcoins are gold. This is going to hold your value for the longest amount of time. Ethereum is your workhorse. This is the development of the smart contract on the blockchain. This is everything is publicly available, runs automatically, and anyone can see it and access it. And then finally, you know that second most popular financial product of the bank called the certificate of deposit? Cool. There's a cryptocurrency that mimics that exact thing called Hex. You can get paid for staking over time. Super simple. Do it yourself. Here's how. 1, 2, 3, done, done, and done.
Boom. Mexicano Jarhead. What you got, buddy?
Well, oh, by the way, Zenith, I'm digging that NCO sword you got next to your desk, man. That's nice. That's nice, man. Not to divert the conversation.
Brother, we actually we've talked about the sword multiple streams, but I have not touched it on stream because I don't know if I'm allowed to.
I think you'll be fine. Blades are okay, but let's not veer off topic like I always do. How do I onboard people? I originally came from the Dave Ramsey space. So Dave Ramsey doesn't like crypto. But one thing that I do agree with Dave Ramsey is no debt. So the first thing I find out is if this cat is bad with finances, then I don't further any of the crypto talks with him. Know what I mean? Because
boom, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
you have to be at a certain level to be able to invest. I 100% agree. If you're not financially responsible in your everyday life, you're not going to be financially responsible in the investment life. 100% agree. Didn't mean to stomp on you there. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I was actually explaining this to Miguel. I told Miguel, or DCC, I was telling him, like, look, dude, like, Dave Ramsey, he's more like a Jedi. you and Charlie are a little bit more on the Sith side, man. You guys like doing the degen shit, which is funner, of course. And he goes, why are we the bad guys? You're not the bad guys. You guys are the cool guys. This is where you make your money, because what does Ramsey preach? Don't ever get into crypto. You know what I'm saying? But if anything, you do need to have that Jedi foundation of not being too much in debt and having your finances in order. For example, I made contact with one of my buddies, bro, good photographer friend of mine, one of the best photographers I've ever met. And dude, he wasn't running the finances in his home. His wife was. So when we started digging into finances and I was teaching him how to budget using the Every Dollar app, because that's what Dave Ramsey uses, we found out that he was actually behind 2 months on rent and about 2 payments behind on the car payment. And his credit cards were just being maxed out. And he didn't know that was going on until I started pressing him for questions and he started asking his wife. His spouse started crying. I was like, no, we're not pressuring you. We're just trying to get you guys squared away. So I was trying to onboard that cat onto crypto. And at the end of the meeting, or at the end of the little meeting we had, I told him, look, man, your best bet right now is to go ahead and save up $1,000. Save up $1,000. And these are the debts I want you to knock out first. Once you get these debts knocked out, then we could talk about investing in crypto. So that was about, a year and a half ago. Now he's coming back to me and he's telling me, hey, man, I'm ready. I've already got my shit in order. I'm running the finances now in my house. So everything's paid off. We've got about $12,000 in the savings. What do I get into first? And I told him, first thing you want to hop into, man, is none other than Ethereum. And the reason I use Ethereum is because Ethereum's kind of like the bait, the tasty bait to a fish. So when he hopped on Ethereum, he saw the gains that he got from it at about, it was recently about what we were about $1,500 about 2 months ago, give or take. So he got on a little bit there. And then he saw that we made all these gains. He's like, wow, man, what else can I get into? And I told him, let's wait for a little bit of a dip before we decide to ape into coins. And I'm thinking about pushing him into Illuvium, because Illuvium just finished its Elliott wave cycle and just finished its ABC wave. As a matter of fact, it finished its ABC wave as of yesterday. So I think he's going to be very happy with Illuvium and some doggone freaking some Ethereum. If he goes further into the crypto space, Pulse Chain's still at a discount right now. eHex is at a fabulous discount right now. Hedron's at a fabulous discount. And if you really want to get degen, a little bit of PulseX, man. That's the way I would onboard somebody.
Will, I'm going to roll to you. Yeah, Will, I'm going to roll to you here in a second, but Sam's got a question for Boogie that I wanted to throw up here real quick. Do you think it's better to take 3 of 10 coins to pay off debt, or to take 2 of 10 coins to pay off debt and keep 1 coin in crypto?
Elaborate. Crypto Boogie, do you think it's better to take 3 of 10 coins to pay off debt, or take 2 of 10 coins to pay off debt and keep 1 coin for crypto? If you're
talking about the richest man in Babylon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The reference of the richest man in the richest man of Babylon, like the principle is you live off of 7/10, so 70%. You pay off debt with 2 coins, and then you save wealth with 1 coin. I believe that that's what he is referencing. So,
yeah, it was rather an intriguing question. Zenith, have you covered the richest man in Babylon?
Yes, we did. That was the first book or second book we did for book club.
We need to hit that. I need to hit that book up.
It's like the ancient. It's a super easy read, actually. It's a good one too. A couple little like proverbs in it, or parables, excuse me. But
do you have a take on it, Zenith? The question.
Do you think it's better to take 3 of 10 coins to pay off debt, or to take 2 of 10 coins to pay off debt and keep 1 coin for crypto? So specifically, that question, if you want to tackle it mathematically, think about the cost. Due to compounding interest, there is a growth factor for debt. There's also a growth factor for crypto. I'm not telling people to do this. This is bad advice, but do not forsake debt to chase gains in investments. Something like this is theoretically possible. If you can, what it's basically talking about is like, yeah, it's living off 80% of your budget, or can you live off 70% of your budget and do a little bit extra? If you can live off less and do more with the rest, that's honestly the best way to do it. Something like crypto is specifically a very well-performing asset class if you know what you're doing. Again, if you know what you're doing. And I'd argue that if you're paying attention to us, you're pretty deep in the weeds. So I'd bet you know what you're doing. So something like that honestly makes sense. This is not financial advice. However, I don't hate it.
Gotcha. Cool deal. Boogie, you got any final comments before we roll over to Will on that specific topic or question?
No, I mean, just pretty much that, man. You've got to be financially responsible, bro, because if you're financially responsible, that shows that you may not end up FOMOing too much and end up selling freaking when you end up dipping too low. And another aspect that I would probably mention is join the Citadel, hang out with the people at the DGen Roundtable, watch my channel. You know what I'm saying? Because usually you'll notice in cats when they buy stocks and stuff like that, as soon as it freaking dumps, bro, they don't know who to follow, and they're following people like Jim Cramer, homie.
For sure. All right.
To follow, unless you're looking for top signals.
That's right. Will, want to come over to you, man. Do you have any onboard strategies? What have you done in the past? What are your thoughts on it?
I do have an onboard strategy, and I have a real quick answer for my brother Sam with this question, and that is you have to quantify, kind of like what Zeno said, you have to quantify what is the rate at which the debt is dragging you down and what is the potential rate at which the crypto will bring you up, right? So if I had $300,000 right now, I could pay off my house loan or I could invest in crypto, right? Like if I owe money on the house that I bought, that's debt that's dragging me down. I'm eventually over the life of the loan going to pay way more than what it's worth. And as crypto goes up, it could go way more than what it's worth. So that's just one specific example. It depends on the type of the debt, but those are some things to think about. I personally would say it is a good idea to invest and to pay off the debt instead of only pay off the debt and miss an opportunity for investment. If you can do both and kind of like split the difference into like little halvesies, so where you're doing a little bit of investing and a little bit of debt payoff, that would be my personal recommendation. So the two coins for debt payoff, one coin for investment, as opposed to paying off the debt as fast as possible. Because the other thing with it, like the debt's still going to be there. The debt's not going anywhere. But these crypto cycles will, they will fluctuate. They will come and they will go. And these hardcore cycles are not going to last forever. You remember that Bitcoin did a 600x or something like that its first cycle. Then it did a 100x. Then it did a 20x. Then it did a 5x. Or it's diminishing every single time. So the longer that people wait to invest into cryptocurrency, and again, that's survivor bias. That's the only one that's the one that stuck around. The longer that people wait, the more opportunity cost you lose. So you have to balance your opportunity cost alongside your ability to balance the debt. So if you're doing a good job of paying down the debt and you're being responsible and the debt's not taking over your whole life, then do a little bit of both. If one is more important than the other, then focus on that. That's my 2 cents there. On the
go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say on the onboarding topic, one thing that I would want to do is I would need to determine at what level do I need to sell this product, right? So you guys kind of touched upon it earlier, Boogie, talking about the debt thing, where Homeboy was. It sounded like your friend was incredibly interested in getting into the product, and he knew enough about it that he had some enthusiasm, right? Something important to remember when you're doing the job of a salesperson, whether you're trying to give somebody else access to an idea that you have, or you're trying to bring them to bring them into the light of a product that you're aware of or something like that, is you have to understand how much of an interested buyer they are. If you're selling to an uninterested buyer, you're basically wasting your energy. So you need to think about how much does this person want to get into the thing that I'm getting them into, and then that can help you determine the speed or the severity at which you'll onboard them in. If somebody's like, dude, I want to get into crypto right fucking now, then excellent. Build it, like set up a Coinbase account, dump truck everything into Ethereum, and then just kind of like work backwards from there and teach them how to use MetaMask, teach them how to use Aave, teach them how to use Pulse Chain, teach them how to do LPs and stuff, run them through all the whiteboard crypto, run them through Crypto Hexplained, run them through all those videos, show them Miguel's videos, Charlie's videos, Boogie's videos, all those sorts of things, get them informed after they've dump trucked everything into a solid asset, which just an easy one off the cuff is Ethereum, right? If they're a little bit more conservative of an investor, you can take them to Bitcoin. And if they're really degen, then you can bring them into the Pulse Chain ecosystem. And if they're very interested in delayed gratification, then you can show them Hex, or you can take them over to Matty Allen's time locking system, right? If they want to time lock shit up to what is it, 55 years? But that's the main thing that I would focus on onboarding is, one, how enthusiastic are they? And then like two, how much knowledge do they have, and how, like, what is the speed at which they're willing to move? Like Josh, you were talking about a kind of a slower DCA process. I would want to get them in all in one motion. If the enthusiasm there, if the conviction is there, then I'd want to get them in all at once, just to lessen the number of decisions that they have to make. And it's kind of that's kind of like it's a double-edged sword, right? So your method of getting them in slower makes it so that every time they remake the decision, they're adding conviction, right? But it's also another opportunity for them to be like to FOMO or to FUD or to do something. So I would want to eliminate the number of decisions that they have to make and just do everything all at once and get it over with. Kind of like rip the Band-Aid off, and it kind of robs them of a little bit of a learning experience, but it gets them in at one solid point. And it also makes, calculating profits and losses a little bit easier too. But I'm a fan of the dump truck theory. So that's how I would onboard somebody, is just get it all into Coinbase and then get it off on a personal wallet as soon as possible.
Yeah, and touche. I'm all about the lessons learned, so that's why I lean on the strategy that I had. So that's fine. Difference of opinion. It's not a big deal. Nate, what you got, bud?
So I've onboarded a wide variety of people. Number one, you need to identify what type of human being they are. When crypto is going, parabolic, and they're like, "Oh, I've heard about that crypto thing. Yeah, what would you do with that? Like, what is that?" Onboarding opportunity. But you're not going to sit there and talk about MetaMask. That's kind of ridiculous, People are just like, "Oh, what is the thing?" So when it comes to someone super simple like that I, just happen, he's making my sandwich in Subway and I'm just talking to him about it. I say, you know what? I mean, you want to retire one day, right? You want to retire with lots of money, and it's going to be just your money, right? Well, there's something super simple, okay? And then you take out a little piece of paper, like the receipt or whatever, and you simply write down, Coinbase or crypto.com or something like that. And you say, here, you can put this on your phone. All you have to do literally is just connect it to your bank. And just like you would do with any stock or anything, all you need to do is take $10 every single paycheck you have, put it into Ethereum or maybe Bitcoin. Doesn't really matter. Don't look if it's going up or down. Don't look at that. Just put it in there. It's your retirement. Okay? Just keep doing that every single time. And since you're only you have very little connection with this person, right? You set them up for life just by doing that. And it's probably the simplest form of being able to invest. And you've given it such an easy thing. $10. Oh, that's like a single, $10 bill. Whoop, right there. If people really have a thirst of some kind, and I don't care. If it's somebody in some sort of fast food and they're talking about I really want to learn how to invest in this, then do the same thing that I would do, but also add in and if you really, really want to learn more about it, hey, look up, these channels, right? Look up this particular type of thing. It's as easy as that. Now, I know that that's super simplistic, but you need to understand what people do, right? So that's your normal person. That's going to be the normal, 90% of everybody you come across is that type of person. If you really, truly want to onboard people to crypto and have them not get ruined, then make them think that it's the same thing as everything else, which is it's going to take you 50 years to be able to retire on it. And next thing you know, it's going to be 20 years down the road. And they're like, yeah, this was supposed to take me 50, 60 years. And they look and it's whoa, I could retire right now if I wanted to. And they just didn't realize it. And yes, it goes against what we would normally preach, which is, not your keys, not your coins. But at the same time, these people don't care about that. They are the people who think that Jim Cramer knows what he's talking about. They're the people who follow Jim Cramer. And where is Jim Cramer getting them? So that's the number one for the majority of human beings that you're coming across talking about crypto. Just like as I said at the beginning, right? I go through a lot of customers and I simply literally ask, hey, or they ask me, oh, what is it you like to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I do crypto. That's where that conversation starts. So that's like 90% of people I come across. If they do want to go a little bit deeper and they actually want, and you have time to actually kind of talk to them a little bit, yeah, tell them like, hey, like here's the simple plan, and then you tell them that same thing. That's a simple plan. Now that's not really gonna like give you a lot of money though right off the bat. But if you wanted to actually like try and start learning, you could do, or you could dive in a little bit deeper, and then just wait for the response. If they're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, and give them a little test, right? Be like, okay, so here's what you want to do. You want to buy these coins and then put them into a wallet of yours. It's an online wallet, only yours, and you have these 12 secret phrases, and if you give those out to anybody, you lose all your coins. But you need to be very careful of scammers out there too. And then they're like, oh, it sounds a little, and you start getting that wincing. Once that starts happening, you know that they're not ready. Just off the bat, they're not ready to dive into this world. So you need something simpler. So be like, hey, just write it down, put on a sticky note on your computer. Remember, those are yours. Just keep them there. But I want you to take all the coins that you're buying off of whatever, Coinbase, whatever. I want you to take those and I want you to move them after a month. Do that. How much are you willing to put in? Well, I'm trying to invest in like maybe, I don't know, maybe like $100 per paycheck. I'm like, nice. All right, cool. We're getting somewhere. All right, do that. If you're going to do that, I want you to look at these 5 coins. And the 5 coins are usually, the upper ones that the bug eaters love. And then of course the top 2, which is Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Now, as much as we in the crypto space are like, ew, with that sort of deal, you need to understand that the more into the government you go, into these institutions, the more control that these people are sitting in, the safer it is for them. And ultimately, it gives them the best opportunity to figure out, hey, I am being kind of blocked off here, but I still have major gains. So, enable for you to escape the rat race, you need funding for that. So ultimately, what I'm setting up for these people is eventually when they're like, well, I don't want to be in the rat race and I'm still kind of in it, I'm still kind of like fenced in. But then they realize, oh, wait, because of this guy so long ago, 10 years ago, I have a ton of money right now. So let me research myself how to actually get away from the fence, And so then they will have the thirst, they will have the hunger at that time. You can't. The problem that I've had is I want to help as many people as possible, but people generally don't want to be helped. So oftentimes the best way to help someone, to help the majority of people, is not to help them. It's to suggest things and then plant a seed. Plant a seed and let them help themselves later on when that seed has turned into a fruit tree. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm really hungry and it's not fair. Oh, wait, I have a fruit tree here now I can eat. That's the idea that I've gone with. And so with every single interaction I ever make with anybody, and like, I mean, if you're paying me for a consult, which I've helped a lot of people already with, it's like, okay, well now let's get into the weeds. Let's get into the details of all this stuff with a lot of like what you guys were saying, right? But my idea is like, there's way too many people out there right now that, I mean, we are not the majority. So enable to get the majority of people onto crypto, right? And to help them the correct way, you need to be on their level of safe. Government will help me. You need to be on that level, but it needs to be like an escape plan almost. It's kind of like, hey, by the way, you're going to need this rope. The government would say, yes, you're going to need this rope to hang yourself with. But me, I'm like, you're going to need this rope to escape out the window. It's kind of like just fitting those little tiny things in. So that's ultimately what I do. And I've done this with a couple of people already, but I mean, just my idea.
We are going to do one more chat shout out, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So we got Sam coming in with the crypto to the moon, 100%. Got to be patient, got to put in the due diligence. But that's what the trend seems to be doing. And then we got the Herc in the house. What's up, guys? What's up, man? Hopefully you had a good New Year's. We appreciate you catching us. We know it's early morning time where you are now. We know it's, Thursday morning? Yeah, because it's Wednesday right now. So Thursday morning where you are. Have a good day, buddy, and we'll catch you in the community chat. All right, guys, let's go ahead and transition to wrap up. So, Boogie, where can folks find you? Are you going to be streaming after this? Are you doing your own stream tonight? And where can folks find you? And what do you have coming up on the horizon?
Tonight I got to take care of some real estate shit. Get ready for income tax season. Well, I got to get with you about that, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to take care of that. I'll probably go live tomorrow. You can catch me on US_crypto_boogie as you see my name here. On Twitter, it's the same. And for Instagram, it's just crypto_boogie.
Will, what you got, man? What you got coming up? Where can folks find you? What are you looking forward to?
All right, so what I got coming up, I'm heading back to Texas in the near future. I'll be hanging out with a couple members of the community. You guys know who you are in the telegrams. And if you do not know who you are, then hit me up. Go to linktree/Will Stevenson. You can find the description down in the, or you can find the link down in the description below, and hit me up there, and we will do a meetup somewhere, somehow in the United States. You can also go to bit.ly/hex_meetup_template. Put your info in there, meet up with Hexkins all over the United States, reach out to each other, go have fun. It's not just the United States. We got dudes over in Australia, New Zealand, London, all over the place. That's what I got going on. Make sure you guys are signing up to our Telegram, bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable. That will take you into our Telegram. It's free right now. It will not always be free. Get in there, like, comment, subscribe, bitch, moan, complaint. Give yourselves a pat on the back, get some diamond hands, and stay hard, motherfuckers.
Nate, Mr. Philosopher McGidditt, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, next Tuesday I'm going to be talking about AI. Kind of, it's going to be specific to general intelligence or artificial general intelligence, which is actual consciousness. So the machines are becoming consciousness. The mathematical equation of Q star has been confirmed, which means, yes, the machines are coming alive. Ooh. So I'm going to be talking about that. Otherwise, yes, I am very passionate about trying to onboard people in the crypto to help save their lives, to give them something give them hope for the future when they feel it is hopeless. Maybe it's because it has kind of been my life. So that's all I've got. What do you guys got going on?
Hey, Z, tell us a little bit about Q1 Thesis and Hex Conference and what you got coming up.
Oh, I got all of the channel announcements. So we're going to go in order, although arguably the big one is first. So starting this Saturday, we have the Hex Conference. It is run by Matty Allen, and he has invited us to appear this year. So starting on Saturday the 6th, you're going to see a lot of us on there for one of the panels going on. I believe it's the second one. And we even have another one of our guys going earlier. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Starting at the show starts at 2:45 p.m. Central Time, right?
Yeah, quick correction. So everything is Central Time. So 6:45 or 2:45 it launches. That's when we're going to do the world record. Yeah, the world record. And then Jeff Apex Hex is going to be on at 8 o'clock Central Time. There's going to be a 20-minute panel that he's on. And the majority of us are going to be on at 8:40 Central Time. So that's 9:40 Eastern. That's going to be a majority of the panel that we're going to be on. And then Mr. Will Stevenson is going to be on another night. But yeah, so I'll get to that. I'll look it up. But Zenith, go ahead and I'll announce Will's part when I get to it.
Well, I was actually going to take care of that right now, if you don't mind.
Will go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Will is a fantastic panel on Monday the 8th. If you have watched the channel, then you're probably well aware that we are good friends with the Wild SJ. She is also going to be on the panel. They're going to be talking about meetups. So Will is Mr. Meetup, making the Excel spreadsheet, and SJ has been driving the bus around. They also got a Bit Hex and another guest to be announced. I would not be surprised if it was maybe someone else who, I don't know, put on a year-long meetup program across the country, finishing with a cruise. That would make sense in my mind. But that's what we got going on there. After that, you might be wondering why I didn't announce a book club for this Friday, because it's next Friday. We're getting ready for the Hex conference. That is priority numero uno. So next Friday, we're going to be covering The Millionaire Next Door. This book talks about what it actually looks like to be a millionaire in basically net value, and then also has a really interesting chapter on the psychology of how you acquire money and how it kind of affects your mentality, and it can either make or break you in the future. And then after that, we have our TA mega stream, where I believe we're going to have none other than US Crypto Boogie as one of our special guests and experts.
Yes, sir.
That is going to be a massive stream. We're looking forward to it. And then to close out the big stuff in January, we are putting together the Q1 2024 thesis. So all of us are putting our brains together to kind of predict and look and read the tea leaves as to what we expect to happen all the way through the first quarter of 2024. Look out for that stream as well. That's all I got. I'm Zenith. You guys can find me at Hex Space Force on Twitter or Hexco Space Force on YouTube and Instagram. Josh, did I miss anything?
No, you're good to go. So, Josh, you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Chocolate Taints. Miss Me Get It in the background. You can handle in credits. I didn't put that out there. So you're going to be handling in credits. I actually take that back. I'll handle it. So I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so Crypto Boogie, we got Agent J, we got Axis Alive, and we got Toby One Hexobi. They're going to be doing the Mega TA stream. We got
be off the chain, son.
That's right. January 17th. January 17th. And I believe we have the thesis on the 14th, correct, Zenith? Or are we pushing that back?
If we're doing if we're doing TA stream on the 17th, we can do thesis on the 14th. I just didn't want to interrupt that one because that's our big special guest mega stream.
That's perfect because that is wild card weekend and the Ravens are on a bye week that week. So I will not be watching I will not be at the Ravens game pretty much. I'll be there the following week. But anyway, that's out of the question. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up around the corner. We are super excited about it. Looking forward to it. For those of you guys that are catching us live, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe, share this URL, join the Telegram, join the social medias, join everything. Make sure you guys get in while you can. It's free for now. It's not always going to be free, though. I'll tell you that right now. It's not always going to be free. We're working on stuff in the background, so make sure you guys join up now while you have the opportunity to. If you guys are catching us on the replay, make sure you hit that notification bell. You guys can find us back here at our next time, which should be Sunday night. Actually, no, we're not doing any streaming this Sunday. Zenith handled everything. Go back and watch Zenith's clip from a couple minutes ago if you guys need to know what's coming up around the corner. So, everybody, we want to thank you again. Thank you so much. Boogie, panel, guys, appreciate it. You guys make this show what it is. Absolutely love the content that you guys bring, the willingness that you guys have to put this stuff out. So,
like the video, monkeys.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you get over to Boogie's channel, subscribe to his channel. Make sure you guys catch all his content as well. You guys have a good night. We will see you back here at the next appointed time. And degen responsibly.